Welcome into DC On Screen episode 425. Today is a special episode of our podcast. An episode a long time in the promising. But, not that long in the making. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
And we have a guest on the show today. It's really exciting. Longtime listener and, dude, host of a pretty new podcast that has become my personal favorite podcast, called Stealing the Remote. Eli Ophelders.
Good evening, over here at least. Thanks for having me.
Close here.
It's been a while.
You've never done this show before.
Over a year. No, since we talked about it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It took a while before we got this together. But it's a nice number. I should have just waited for 425 to begin with. I'm happy with that.
Well, I don't know. I don't have anything to say about that.
Only that we're getting
We're
older.
off to a great start.
Eli, before we start the show, tell them about your show.
Yeah, you've mentioned it before, for which I can only thank you. I started off with the concept of wanting to introduce my mom to the geeky stuff I like and some great movies that she otherwise just wouldn't watch. So essentially, I just force her to watch a movie with me and then discuss it. And sometimes it works out, and she's very impressed by my taste. And sometimes she's not so amused by what I showed her. So it goes up and down, but we have fun with it, and I'm very glad you enjoy it still.
I think it's a great show. I really do.
Thank you.
The concept alone was gold, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised I got her to do it with me. It's still I convinced her somehow, and now she's just watching DC things with me and some Marvel stuff, and we're getting into Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and yeah, we have plans.
Just taking her through modern geekery, just one concept at a time. I like it.
Exactly.
I really want your to show to have a thumbnail though of the Clockwork Orange shot with your mom. But I haven't seen that anywhere in the show notes.
Unfortunately not. No. We'll have to see if I can make that happen.
Yeah,
not sure
you've
if
got
she'd cooperate.
Yeah.
How many pages of suggestions do you have for me alone?
Well, you're not that bad yet. You said you could mention pages and pages of suggestions, but you've only suggested 6. So most of the list still consists of every comic book movie ever, of which I'm sure we're not going to watch every one of them, because that's just a bad idea. I have to still convince
needs to watch
her
Tank
that
Girl?
they're good.
Yeah, you've got to call your shot a little bit, right? You can't give her too many just really questionable or crap movies at a time. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a balancing act of just going I want to show you this, but on the other hand, I need you to like it enough to actually go on with this project. So
yeah.
it's there are some films I'm just I should probably skip this one, even though it's part of history and I enjoy it for those reasons. But yeah.
Yeah. Or you throw in a Ghostbusters or something just to kind of cleanse the palate. We all know this was good. Let's give it a watch.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I know it's time for a little bit lighter stuff that's just fun and she'll enjoy and won't leave a sour taste in her mouth or anything. I did ruin her childhood at some point, because she knew Batman from the Adam West days, and we watched the 60s movie, and it was different from how she remembered it, so that was a bit of a shock.
Yeah. That's about right.
Yeah, it was kind
that happened to me too. I mean, I thought it was I thought that was a real Batman when I was 3 watching reruns.
Exactly.
And a couple years later, even I was
Yeah,
well, this is still funny,
she had
though.
to go through that at this age, so I had to explain to her. No, everyone has this phase of you'll see what it is,
yeah,
before you can enjoy it for what it is.
I mean, if you're less than 5, maybe 6 when you see that for the first time, there's a good chance you took it seriously and were yeah, go beat him up.
Exactly.
I'm not at all questioning that a potted plant falling 3 times was the catalyst of this episode, but let's do it.
You know, what's weird is, like, I would see, like, the humor in the show and just be like, yeah, no, humor belongs in drama. I don't understand the problem.
Well, good for you. You were a wise child.
But you know what? Firefly's my favorite show. So
Yeah, I was going to say,
wait,
like,
you haven't seen
somewhere
that yet.
Joss Whedon was just wringing his hands thinking like, yes, my pretties, I shall harvest you when the time is right.
You shall be harvested. Now back to writing Roseanne.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't there yet, but anyway. All right. So what we're gonna do is we came up with this idea to talk about the movies that we would like to see, whether they be from the comics or the animated shows or whatever. Live action versions. What would we want to see? What storylines do we want to see adapted into live action? And they can be DCEU or they can be Elseworlds or whatever, what have you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have that new banner to play with now, so...
Yeah, if that's really a thing. I mean, I think it is, based on stuff that's happening this week, which we will talk about. Actually, that episode will come out first, but, anyway.
Based on things we've already talked about, I mean.
Yeah, of
we've
course
talked
you
about
have.
that.
Totally.
Continuity.
Production schedules aren't wonky.
Yeah.
Especially that news that's going to come out, like, tonight. Like, you'll have talked about that already, and it'll be wonderful.
It'll be
You know what?
fantastic.
By the time we actually get to recording the news episode for this week, everything will probably have changed. Like last week, Ben Affleck was Batman. Now he's not Batman again. Every week, every week,
Yeah,
we
but,
go back.
But to be fair, that goes back and forth every week, so that's
Yeah.
a regular thing. That's just to be expected. Like, is it an even or an odd week? That's how it works.
Yeah, this is why
Sometimes you're
we've
surprised and you have
considered
to.
calling moratoriums on certain subjects until, X thing happened. Like, until they're unset. Maybe we just don't even discuss whether Ben Affleck's the Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might make sense. 'Cause you
Or,
can
like,
only
if I
say
see
so
in
much.
Variety that someone else has been cast, we'll deal with it then.
Yeah, if there's something concrete, we can discuss this. But right now, it's just
Yeah.
so much. Much ado about nothing.
Unless
Yeah.
it becomes, not unlike a Will Ferrell comedy sketch, where it just becomes so repetitive that it's now funny.
It's kind
Yeah.
of hit that point. Yeah.
We are really pretty close
We're
to the more
close.
cowbell moment of the Batman news.
All right, so did I explain the premise of this episode well enough?
I don't think
feel
you fully
I
got
did.
through it. No, I let's start over. So you were saying we basically wanted to. What do we want to see? Like,
What storyline would we want to see, either from the comics or wherever, or even in some cases that we've just something we've always wanted to see that has never really fully been done anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't strictly have to be adaptations because not everything on my list is an adaptation of a specific storyline. It's more like just a concept of this I would want. But
Yeah.
that's
Me too.
Just what else that isn't already in development would we actually like to see from DC?
And I posed the question on all social media outlets that we're a part of, and got a lot of cool responses, and we'll get to those at the end of the show. But
Yeah,
I guess
there were
let's
some good
just go
ones in
ahead.
there.
I guess let's DC movies that we want to see. Let's call it that.
okay.
And we'll start off with you, Eli. You're the guest, so we're going to start off with you. So,
Okay.
say stuff.
Ooh, I'm on the spot. Well, I guess honorable mentions first, I suppose. Because
You're doing
originally
honorable mentions first.
Yeah, like before number 10, I have to mention what was number 10 first. Like, I can't, like, get around that. I was thinking about, like, putting the Batman stuff sort of towards the bottom, because we've gotten a lot of Batman, and we'll get more Batman, so it's not the things I'm most hyped about, necessarily, so I'm like, I'd be more interested in seeing other things. But I immediately went to, like, something along the lines of Long Halloween would be nice. That was the first number 10 I had, and the only one I really changed out in the list I eventually ended up with. Because I was like, we need that detective story that that mystery, that noir that we've all as fans been clamoring for basically for a while now. Like that's an angle we need more of. And it's I mean, it's great. It's that twist. Damn it.
Yes.
It's So you'd still have to adapt it, of course, but it would be nice to see, I think. So that was my original thought. But then when I went through some other things I have in my bookcase and like my collection, and I read some of the comments, I saw Ahmed Pryor come up with the way more obvious thing that has been hinted at already, namely a Red Hood / Death in the Family type thing. Because we have a dead Robin already in the universe, and something needs to happen with that. Come on. So I for me that sort of takes a spot like above that. It beats out the Long Halloween for me, as in like that was a really good animated movie. You could do something really nice with that. You could incorporate Harley, because we've apparently established that she's an accomplice, even if the headcanon stuff with the grill didn't quite match the timeline. But no, give Jared Leto something to do. That doesn't have to be another Joker is the villain type movie. If you make it about Red Hood, about Jason, about Death in the Family, and get all that in there. So I'd be really excited to see that at some point in the future.
So that's your number 10, Red Hood / Death
10.
in the Family?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's a good one. Like, Long Halloween was actually on one of my honorable mentions. But I don't think Death in the Family is on my top 10. Death in the Family is on my honorable mentions, though.
Yeah, well, there's a lot on your honorable mentions list.
There is.
Yeah.
All right. What you got, Jason?
He could write an honorable mention kind of in his sleep. Well, I'm going to take its namesake, I think, as what I think would be a great movie, Death of the Family. The recent run with the faceless Joker, reclaiming his face and sicking the Bat family against itself. Basically, pointing out to Bruce and the rest of the Bat orphans at the same time that, you know, at the end of the day, he loves me more than you kids.
Yeah, he'll let you die, but he won't kill me.
Yeah, hell of a twist. I think it's well titled, I think, because Snyder obviously knows his shit, and he took the lesson that I think Jason Todd was pissed off about, was like, that guy's still walking around, but I'm dead, or I was. And Death in the Family to Death of the Family. Like, this is Joker upping the ante and just saying, I don't even have to kill him. I can still remove him from real life. Really fun psychological stuff.
No, that was a strong arc. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
And I mean,
it's got a lot of good tie-ins to like Catwoman and Suicide Squad that you can play with and get some other people in.
The thing about,
sure.
No, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure everyone would be just excited alone about the fact that would fix all the issues with Jared Leto's face and the tattoos, and people could just shut up about that. Like, just
that
cut
would
it
be
off.
nice.
That's how it works.
That would be nice. I mean, Gotham at least played with the idea that his face was, a movable piece. But they didn't go as far as they could.
I still haven't caught up, but
yeah, that's all I need to tell you then.
Well, I think if they did a Death of the Family movie, they could, throw in the pertinent parts of Death in the Family, because honestly, like, I don't want to see, like, even though Death in the Family is on my honorable mention list, I don't want to see Jason Todd running all over the earth looking for his mother. I don't really want to see, I don't really want to see I have Amnesty Joker because I'm in the UN. I really don't want to see any of that.
Death in the Family, you have to
skip all that,
really adapt, like.
But you could take the two suggestions together easily and kind of have a prelude, almost to like Man of Steel, Krypton era level prelude, like good 15 minutes. That kind of wraps up the Death in the Family storyline and Jason Todd dying, and then tie it into now, like, Bruce Wayne still trying to recover. It's it's Batflex at his current age, and the Joker's still fucking with him a little bit, and still like taking pieces of the puzzle away from Batman after all this time, Yeah, you could tie them both together pretty easily, and then, if you want to, slough off his face at the end and recast him, I guess. Whatever.
That's how cutting off faces works. Like, if you put it back, it's suddenly a different person.
It's a different person, yeah. It's not like the head skull structure or anything. It's fine.
No. It's a different face. That's come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a basic biological fact that every single human skull is the exact same shape. So this shouldn't surprise you in any capacity.
It doesn't really, no.
Yeah, it's just the face that's different. So yeah.
I always thought
Nicolas Cage movie made sense. I promise.
It didn't. I promise. Yeah. Anyway, I'll go to my first one here. It should be no surprise to Jason, but maybe the listeners won't realize that this is something I want, or even know what it is, which is why I've included a little blurb from the DC Wikia. Adam Strange.
Mm-hmm. You do have a weird affection for Adam. It's not so much weird.
I mean, he's a cool want an Adam Strange movie. Well, I mean, he's basically DC's version of John Carter of Mars. But
yeah, no, he's you've always been like idly fascinated by him, but I think when you saw him on Young Justice, you were like, no, I've got to have more of this guy. Reignited
Yeah, I mean,
your passion for him. It seemed like
it didn't really reignite anything. It was just like, yes. That was all there was. But like, I think part of my passion for Adam Strange. Well, like on Young Justice, they updated him so much. Like, I really don't want an updated Adam Strange. Like, I want an old style, like, movie serial version of Adam Strange.
Ah.
Now, as per the DC Wikia, Adam Strange was once a mere human archaeologist. One day, while working on a dig in South America, Adam was transported to the planet of Rann via the Zeta Beam. Their leader, Sardoth, had invented the Zeta Beam, which could teleport matter over light years of distance. He immediately befriended the Rannians and took up a flight pack and a ray gun to assist them. While there, he met and fell in love with Sardoth's daughter named Alana. I don't know, man. He's got a red and white suit, so that you should like him. This Alabama colors, but he's got this stupid fin on his head and a freaking rocket pack, and he runs around with a ray gun shooting aliens. And I would probably just do the first movie as like him.
What are you not supposed to love here is the question.
Yeah, and I would just throw him right into the middle of the Rann-Thanagarian War, like right off the bat.
Well, what you may actually want is a Netflix series or something.
I might
just like one called Rann or something like that, where it focuses on Adam Strange and his character and his arrival. And like by the end of season 1, he's not only like become accepted, but he's a leader. And now that's like the beginning of the Rann and Thanagarian War.
Mm-hmm.
Like season 2 is like now he's kind of a their de facto war leader.
Well, I kind of like the idea that the Zeta Beam only he times his life around when the Zeta Beam hits. So like he goes to Earth, he has his life as an archaeologist, and then like gets sucked over to Rann for a minute and becomes like this like ridiculous superhero. Like I like all of that. I think it's a really fun idea.
Like he shows up sometimes. He's like, "Well, I'm here for 2.5 years. Better make the most of it."
But I really want it to look like like the old like retro sci-fi, like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
That's a niche market probably, but I get that feel. Like I know why you like it, but it's that would be fun. Like I've never read a page of his stuff, but I recently listened to another podcast, I think, who talked about them. So I know stuff about the war with Thanagar, and now just for that reason alone. But that it is a character that seems very very made to fit in that style, like to just camp that up to that old sci-fi feel of just like he has a ray gun and a jetpack and that's it, like superpowers. Have fun
and a lot of moxie.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, back to you, Eli. What you got?
Number 9. This is the last pure Batman idea I had, but of course I have to mention I want a Riddler movie eventually. Not a Riddler solo movie like we're getting with Joker, but like one where Riddler is the villain. And I don't have a specific storyline in mind, but that's mainly because I don't necessarily know of a brilliant Riddler storyline, because he's really hard to write, as I'm sure Batman Forever proved. But it's like people always talk about the one where that is sort of too supernatural for my taste. I forgot the name for a second, but I don't necessarily know one that is just great. But I feel like there's a lot of potential just in that character, and it's about damn time we do something that isn't Jim Carrey with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The new books are doing, like, the War of Jokes and Riddles is kind of a series that's, I think, about to wrap up, or just did, where in this version, he's got, in this version, like, the Joker has shot him in the stomach, right at the center, so he's got a nice scar, and while he's there, he, like, finishes the scar and makes the bullet wound the bottom of a question mark on his chest and stuff like that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, kind of a lot more physically menacing. Looks like a little bit what they were trying to do in the VR games that are coming out right now, where... Not VR. What's that rotoscope
Telltale
set of games?
Oh, yeah. God, what is it called?
It's gonna kill me.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. It's floating around in my brain.
From Netherworld or Netherrealm?
Netherrealm?
Yeah.
The Telltale thing.
Telltale
series.
Telltale series.
Yeah. No, that's what I said. I just didn't hear something, but yeah.
Yeah, you had it. But yeah, they're doing a more serious take. It's not like the floppy, almost like it looked like a Fourth Stooge, the dude in Long Halloween, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
just rough.
I've always wanted to see like Riddler as like Kevin Spacey from The Usual Suspects.
Yeah,
yeah.
Or we used to fantasize about Michael Fassbender getting like the Riddler or the Joker, even actually.
No, I've always said Batman or the Joker.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was Riddler. I couldn't decide if I wanted it to be Alan Tudyk or Michael Fassbender. That was a really hard conversation with myself.
I don't know. I only want to see I want to see Alan Tudyk as the Joker.
Yeah, he'd have a lot of fun.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see any of those people as the Riddler, though.
Yeah, I'm still down with Fassbender. It'd give it some gravitas.
Okay.
It kind of. It's like it's hard to not take him seriously. Like, you'd have to, for at least the first 30 minutes of the movie, when you saw him, you'd be like, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm going to give him a second. I'm going to give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the Usual Suspects angle. Like he was in the graphic novel Joker. He was, I believe, like not crippled, but he was walking with a cane, and he was also sort of not physically imposing in that sense, but really it was an interesting take, even if he was in it for like 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. Change one. Background notes. Should I go on with my next one?
Yeah, do it, man. Do it.
I'm gonna mention one just to have it off everyone's plate because it's one of 2 that I know we all want. Kingdom Come.
Okay. Oh gosh, yeah.
It has to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to
get that.
But...
The world is short one good Kingdom Come take.
I read that like pretty recently, and I don't know. It hasn't quite landed for me. I don't think because it's not on my list. Partly because I knew that it would be on you guys's. So I'm not opposed to that because it would be really interesting. But it's also like a classic that isn't necessarily really dear to me. So I don't have any really strong feelings about it because at times I just find Alex Ross hard to read in a way that because he has no lines, it's occasionally just like there's so much happening and it's beautiful and I love it, but what is happening? So
you can actually forget to turn to the next page in some of his, and that's it's not a knock on the writing. It's just you like get stuck staring at an image and just kind of forget you're in the middle of a story. And then it's kind of nice. You get excited, like, ooh, there's another page.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it's
gorgeous.
That would maybe be the hardest problem. Is the story itself? I think translates just fine to whatever medium you want to do. Mm-hmm. But if you tried to make this a DC animated film, it's just not. It's gonna feel like if I read the book,
it's never gonna look that good.
It's never gonna look that good. It's gonna cost way too much to make it look that good. So I totally get why they haven't done it. I think you just almost have to change the medium so thoroughly that you're not even trying. Right? Go live action. Go heavy SFX, but don't even attempt. It's just no cinematographer for less than several $100 million is going to be able to match what he did in that book. So
I feel like if you did Kingdom Come, despite whatever the haters say, you got to have Zack Snyder doing it.
Yeah,
It feels like the kind of him and that director
Larry
photography
Fong.
he's been working with forever for so long. Was it cinematographer or DP? I can't remember, but
he kind of goes
one
back
guy
and
who-
forth, like-
you mean?
it's the guy he's been working with forever.
Larry Fong, yeah.
Fong, yeah.
But yeah, Gosh,
I just
Kingdom
figured I'd
Come is
mention
gorgeous.
that. We all know that one's going to be on the list of things we wish we had, in like a vital sit down at a theater kind of format. But again, I think we just explained all the reasons we maybe don't have that.
Yeah. Now, per Wikipedia, for those who don't know what Kingdom Come is, for the three of you out there, four issue Elseworld story by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, set in the year 2020, where Superman and his generation of heroes from the Justice League days have been succeeded by a new generation of heroes whose ideals are more nihilistic, caring less about the people they're supposed to protect and more about their own egos, and are found even clashing with each other as much as they do with the villains. It is when a major disaster happens, when Superman decides to rein in the new generation of heroes in the hopes that they would reform and adopt his generation's ideals of being what a superhero is about. I love that notion. I love old Batman and his like body brace with giant robots running around in Gotham. Superman living in a holographic Kent farm. Green Lantern just kind of chilling in his big ring fortress, And honestly, I love Spectre and the Priest. I love all of the Revelation prophecies being about the Justice League. That is my shit, dog. Oh my gosh.
It's fantastic. It's just, and it has one of my favorite scenes. I think I've mentioned it a few times even before. It was like Superman goes into a nightclub to recruit. And like as he leaves, like one of the nihilistic super teens that was there, just wasting her time, kind of looks to the other person and says, like, I've never seen him before, but after seeing him, I'd follow that man into hell. For me, it's just perfect. Like that's the Superman I want to believe in. Is like the moment you see him, you're like, what do you need me to do? Like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what battle you're in right now, but do you need me to like get coffee? I don't care. I'll help. I'll set up an email account for you. I don't, whatever.
After seeing him, I'll follow him into hell, or get him coffee.
Whatever.
All right.
It would be worth it to see just to see in live action that bar or that restaurant where everyone is dressed up as superheroes. That notion alone, to see that in live action, I would die happily.
Yeah. God,
that'd
production for that would be like, God, that'd be like $1 million days worth of production.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be such a
penny.
Huge money budget. I mean, if we're talking in that same scene, I think it's like some guy gets a hand put through his chest, and it's just weird.
Yeah, now that you mention it. That far future of 2020.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be right about that.
I mean,
mixing that up.
They'd have to update it for the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway,
all right.
I think I'm confabulating that with another scene, but it's an expensive scene. But what you got, Dave?
Actually, I had a Kingdom Come on there, so I talked about it, and now I'm going to go back to Eli because I just
that's
talked
fine.
about Kingdom Come. 2.
I have one that's sort of out there. It's I would still like to see a Green Arrow and Black Canary film. I know we have the show, but I'm like, of all those characters out there that we just haven't seen on the big screen yet, those two I would like to see, and I would like to see done perhaps more faithfully in a sense, because, well, we all know how Laurel Lands sort of ended up and that shitstorm they went through with the whole different Black Canaries throughout all the seasons. So
the rotating Canary.
Yeah, basically. So I'd be curious to see what they could do with that in the DCEU.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you were talking about the show, I'm like, yeah, but that shit ain't real.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've been given a version, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a faithful adaptation of those characters.
No, it's basically still Batman. But I'd like one with a beard, for example. Just to be weird about the superficial things. I wouldn't mind seeing that beard.
Yeah.
Either.
I want to see the goatee. I want to see, super liberal Ollie.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I want
Hawkman in there too, just so we can get the back and forth.
Yeah. You want to see like a scene where they're both watching some kind of fake version of Fox News on the, and Ollie comes in and just starts yelling at the television and why turn this shit off? Are you kidding me? This Hawkman like
just be
quietly
real
grabs
news.
Quietly grabs the control. I think they just have to disguise it and be like, this is like what do you call it? Like Onyx News or Skunk News or something. Whatever you want to do.
Just some animal that seems like
Meerkat News something.
Yeah.
Meerkat News.
Meerkat News. I'm sure it stands for something. But yeah, like, you could see like Ollie come in and start yelling at who turned this crap on, blah blah blah, blah. And then like Hawkman's got the controller like literally under his mallet or under what do you call that? The what is it? The Death Maul? Warhammer. Is that it? Warhammer? Anyway.
Morningstar?
Morningstar. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I know all the words today. It's really weird.
Yeah, you're winning.
While
you're
the mic
winning.
it's
It's being recorded for posterity. This is fantastic.
We could go like a Frank Miller route with it. Instead of Fox News, it's called Foxy News, and all of the newscasters are just really buxom young ladies who are reporting on very right-wing spun news stories.
Right.
Sounds good to me. Just rip his arm
at some point,
off
like
while we're at
Ollie,
it.
like at some point, let Ollie get control of the through whatever means of distraction he has to, gets the controls away from Hawkman and turns the channel to CNN, and like which I guess is like YNN or something here. And then just for a second, he's like, "See, let's listen to some real stuff." And then he's interrupted by the Morning Star being thrown at the television. Just one shot of the Morning Star straight through the freaking television, hung into the wall.
How this would fit into a larger narrative, we're not sure yet, but
I only need 60 seconds to tell that story.
Exactly.
Like, that's all. And it's something you haven't gotten with any of the Ollies so far, like no left wing anything. And man, he's just that's part of who he is. It does seem like it's missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I want wisecracking Ollie too.
Wisecracking Ollie's good. Like even then, wisecracking Ollie, even in Arrow, is something I feel like they could have done more of.
Yeah,
they want him to be taken very seriously, so he didn't. You don't have to. It didn't have to be puns. We don't have to take a page out of Batman and Robin here, but you could still make
please don't.
Yeah, but you could still have him quip a little bit, have him enjoy himself a little, and
Also,
every
I
summer,
miss the
I think
womanizing a
maybe
little
this
bit.
year.
I do kind of miss the womanizing.
It just takes him whole season arcs, but he has pretty much womanized most every woman that's come onto that show.
Yeah, I mean they did it.
That's fair.
They did it early on where they were like, "Oh man, he's a piece of crap," and you're like, "Yeah, he is." And what
he's
with
a piece of crap with a heart of gold,
girlfriend's sister and stuff. That's messed up. But now it's like they've pushed it so far to the point where he's just like, I feel like he's saving himself for Felicity now or something. It's real weird. Like they're trying to push the Olicity angle so much, and I don't care about that at all. But then if
there's still some business
Black
with that reporter that I feel like wasn't completely wrapped up.
Yeah, that was weird. But if Black Canary had been the Black Canary that we got in the comics, like Dinah Lance, and actually, I'm sorry, it was played by someone. If they gave her good lines or had an arc, for God's sake, for her that made any sense really, or if the actress wasn't awful, I would rather him be with Black Canary overall.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like the chemistry between those two alone in like Injustice 2 was just so much fun. Like you can easily just translate that into film.
Mm-hmm.
If it had just worked out like they probably planned when they started season 1 of Arrow, like, oh, this will be Black Canary and they'll be together. Like, if that had actually worked, you might have gotten something similar, but yeah.
No, they've waffled so hard on that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have burnt the shit out of that waffle because, like, at this point, they started with we're gonna have them both on screen, and then we're gonna ship them a little bit, but we're gonna do something different, and no, we're not gonna do it at all, and then oh wait, she's Canary. We're confused too, but bear with us. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put Oliver with anyone at all that's not Black Canary, and then in our private talks with interviewers, we're just gonna say that well, you can't have Black Canary and Green Arrow on the same screen without putting them together. They've been all over the place, man. I've heard all of that happen, and all of those contradictions happen in just a matter of months.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, so you done with the Green Arrow or the Black Canary movie? You have an idea for the villain or anything?
I should have probably given that more thought. No, not necessarily. I think I've set my piece.
All right. I mean, no judgment. You don't have to come up with a villain.
Thank God. Or would have been thrown off the show by number 8. Like, ooh.
Yeah. Now, what's going to happen instead is, like, later we're going to be in the middle of a sentence and you're just going to yell, like, onomatopoeia! I knew there was someone I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Damn it. Can we go back?
All right, no, Jason, what you got? What you got, Jason?
I am just going to say this generically, and this is going to be a little annoying in a certain way. But if you've read it, then hopefully you'll agree with me. If you haven't read it, and Dave hasn't, and I refuse to spoil it, so I'm going to be very generic with my description. But Grant Morrison's Animal Man series. I don't want to say what happens, necessarily. I want to say that there's enough vignettes happening, there's enough weirdness happening that... and I have this suggestion for 3 of the things on my list. Is I don't want a movie, I want a Netflix series.
Oh,
that's interesting.
I started thinking.
I'm gonna have to read this now, right?
It's so flippin' good, man.
Consider it put on the list of very, very many graphic novels I have yet to read.
Yeah, and I think it's like 3 different volumes when you get it in graphic, but it's completely worth it. Morrison. I mean, he takes a character like Animal Man and makes him, as Morrison is wont to do, he makes him A, way more powerful than you thought, B, has way more depth than you thought as a relatable person in the real world. And he does. He sets him in a real world that somehow uses Morrison-esque logic, where like you can have a real world and a real family and real feelings, and then the next thing you know, there's Wannabeast, and you're like, cool, where are we going? Let's do this. It's Morrison is so good at being spacey and grounded at the same time. It's really phenomenal. So I don't want to
achievement in and of itself. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil where the series goes because there's in the last few issues of it it goes into a place that's kind of just trippy and wonderful, perfectly Morrison. And for anyone who's read it, yeah, you probably know what I'm talking about, and I hope you agree. Netflix series, so you can get a full fleshed out, like, give me 10 episodes, 10 hour-long episodes, and do this. And it could fill it. It really could. I mean, at least 6. But I still don't want to ruin where it goes. I'm still haranguing even Dave to get on that.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I'm sorry, buddy.
I know. It's once every 6 months or so I stop and remind you to do that, and it's been about 6 months now, so I thought this list was a great opportunity to pester you more.
Yeah.
Makes it kind of a short one, though. I don't want to go into too much more. So that was really all I had on it.
All right. And I will get to that. I've read a couple of things about the Animal Man with Morrison, and it really made me want to read it. But I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go on to my next one. This is going to be a weird one. I apologize. Robin 2, The Joker's Wild by Chuck Dixon and Tom Lyle. Are either of you familiar with it?
That doesn't even ring a bell.
I got nothing.
All right, so
I've heard of that writer before. That's all I've got.
Sure. So Batman's in Rio fighting the Idiot from the Idiot Zone series, the very underappreciated, seldom remembered story by Peter Milligan and drawn by Norm Brayfogle. But it's just so, and they didn't actually, they just said that Batman's in Rio. And Tim Drake is on his own in Gotham for the first time, when of course Joker breaks out of Arkham. And the story establishes Tim Drake as worthy of the Robin title. It shows him outsmarting and ultimately taking down Joker. It also sets up a lot of Tim's family and his friends. Sort of just like Tim's world.
So this is largely why Tim Drake a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. It's largely why Tim Drake is my favorite Robin. And I think you can, if I understand it correctly, you can get this story with a couple others in Robin Triumphant, the Robin Triumphant trade paperback. And this is Joker's first encounter with a Robin after he killed Jason Todd.
Oh.
And of course, the fact that it's the Joker is just, it's kind of a big deal, since that's Tim's first encounter with Joker. But there's a lot of great scenes.
It's coming up against like your most potential and charged enemy just right out of the gate, man. I mean, that's rough.
Mm-hmm. I've always, I read this after the animated series came out, like right after. So I always heard Hamill's voice in there. But there's a great bit where like Joker comes back to get his to take his gang back from Mr. Freeze, and they're all like, "Yeah, but we're Freeze guys now," and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about that." And like Mr. Freeze shows up and says, "The gang is mine now." Joker shoots him with a water gun and then electrocutes him, and that's all it takes. Like it just, and the whole time he's making puns. He's just making ice puns the whole time at Mr. Freeze.
That works better than having Arnold do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is funnier when it's someone using them against Freeze.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except when it's George Clooney, still, then it doesn't quite work as well.
Yeah. They hurt slightly less when they did it, if that helps.
Yeah, marginally.
There's a great scene where Joker sees Robin for the first time, and he just stares at him with mouth agape and goes, "You! I killed you!" It was just great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good story. Beware, mullets abound. It was 1991. They draw lots. Okay. They draw lots of mullets in this thing, but it's good stuff. All right, what you got, Eli?
I mean, you make a good pitch, though. I want to read that now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to go back and write down all the suggestions you guys had, and add them to my thing. I'll actually have to listen to my own voice now. Wonderful, thanks.
Your own sick voice too. You're gonna hate that.
Yep.
You're gonna hate that so much.
Oh Lord, it's bad enough hearing myself through my own skull right now.
Yeah,
but for number
it's a universal thing of no one likes hearing their own voice. No one likes
Nope.
It is a
you sort of get used to it editing a podcast, but that's about it.
But that's it.
It doesn't get
it's
tolerable,
always grating. Yeah. Poor thing. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. What you got?
For number 7, I was just sort of apparently working my way through the entire CW universe because I felt like we needed a Supergirl in the DCEU, and now that I see it, I'm not sure how you would necessarily make it work as a standalone, but I do feel like there's at least a market for it. So you could, if you could come up with, let's say, a stronger story than what's been done on TV so far, I think that could be worth something. And I've heard other people on another podcast, I can't remember which one, but someone mentioned Chloe Grace Moretz as a casting idea, and I was like, I do love her. So going young, at least, would be my instinct to sort of play up that angle instead of going with, hey, this is another grown-up woman who is essentially a female version of Superman.
That would work. Are you thinking current DCU, though? Or
yeah, I feel like people are still going on about the Man of Steel, one open cocoon, whatever it was, in the scout ship. So there are probably ways to work it in there that she exists in the universe. I do feel like you could sort of squish it together with another one on my list that we'll get to, but in a sort of no, I'll get to that, but there is a way to sort of combine that with Man of Steel 2, and it's been done, I've seen it twice now, so I'm sort of done with that, so I figured I'll split them and keep them separate, because I think there's enough to be mined in that property that just hasn't really been done yet. invent something new for all I care, because it's not like Supergirl has a rogues gallery that's huge or very well known.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and she does with the Legion, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be your ticket in, though.
Supergirl in the Legion?
Let's just throw her in the Legion and have like a Legion/Supergirl movie and go with it.
Yeah, that could work. I should have come up with that first, but it's that would be a way to just sort of combine it and make a bigger story out of it, and make it movie worthy in that sense, and probably make it worth it for the studio to actually have two versions again, like with the Flash, which is just so established of a character that they needed to, basically.
Right.
If you do the Legion, though, that could be the way that, since the scout ship crashed however many hundreds of years ago or whatever it was, that's how you get her from that point to present day, because, you just have a group of time travelers that she plays around with for a couple of months and then goes to hang out with Cal.
Yeah, that would work. See, why are we not hired yet?
I don't know.
Yeah, no one knows who we are.
That might be it.
Well, even if they did, studios would be like, hey, what do you know? And we give them the idea, and they're like, uh-huh. What you got, Goyer? Comics are dumb. We were going to hire that guy.
Yeah.
He has experience.
He doesn't like comics.
How do you feel about Manhunter? Oh, I think he's a complete waste of a character. You're hired.
Please write Green Lantern Corps for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, Lord. Maybe this will be one of the good ones again. Who knows?
Oh.
Let's be hopeful.
Yeah, I try to stay there, at least until I'm leaving the theater.
Yeah. All right, what you got, Jason?
I'm going to stay on Morrison for a second. I want a genuine horror film for Arkham Asylum.
Oh.
Nice. All right.
A for real horror take. Like, let's get a... Yeah. Like, I want this to be a movie you can't watch if there's a glare anywhere in the room. Like, if someone's got their cell phone on, you can't see anything that's happening.
This could be really interesting, yeah. Because it's
I
another one of those graphic novels that's just sort of slightly too artsy for my taste. That I mean, I appreciate art, but it's like in a way that there's too little of a story that it doesn't stick with me. That I barely remember what went on in it, So to really twist that around and make it something in that medium that can be way more scary, like you can do something with that horror genre. I'd be interested to see that. Yeah,
I think it definitely it has the potential to be in its present tense story. The story of Batman entering the asylum and almost having to face the idea that in the back of his head he kind of knows he belongs there. Him going in and having a nice little kind of psychological horror movie happening in the present tense, and then in the past tense, all the stuff with Arkham, with Jeremiah Arkham, I want to say.
Probably.
And yeah, it's basically a kind of a thriller / murder mystery going on between like him and the origin with Mad Dog and all that stuff. It's just there's a lot of really dark shit happening that I think would make some just fantastic kind of squirming in your seat. You hear something in the back of the house. What was that kind of moment?
Yeah, just really uncomfortable, like that sort of continuous tension more than just jump scare, which is sort of what some sort of horror has become recently.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's room for a couple of jump scares in there.
Yeah, of course.
You've probably got room for
live without them, but
it's also like the art style of that book is so. I mean, surreal's not quite the word, but it's maybe the best I've got. It's very disjointed. Like it feels like maybe what you were saying, Eli, was like there feels like there are points of that story in that book where you can tell they're actually trying to tell you what's happening right now, like him talking to Two-Face's doctor or something like that. Like you can that's a thing that's really happening. And then there are whole pages where it feels like the artist and Grant Morrison is just trying to like get you like kind of the mood more than the actual
like
story.
Impressions and
like they almost want to paint the environment from Batman's perspective rather than actually telling what's happening to him, which again I think just ties perfectly into like let's make this a full-fledged horror film. Let's do it.
I can dig it.
Definitely. And I mean, I have to sort of put in a caveat in the sense that I think I read this one not only a while ago when I was young and innocent, but when I think I bought it by accident in Dutch, which just never buy a translated graphic novel. It's just horrid. It's, oh my lord, like you don't know how easy you have it. But I accidentally bought the wrong edition, and I ended up with a weird. It just doesn't read the same way. Batman does not speak Dutch in my book. That's how it works.
I could deal with that. Also, Morrison's writing can be so flowery at times.
Yeah, it might have been.
It would be a little hard to translate. I could definitely see it being kind of a little bit of a problem there.
I'm sure whoever did it tried their best.
Hey, as far as translations are concerned, we have the English, but we're pretty much lost on everything anime. I mean, they they have dubs and everything, but like I was hanging out with my girlfriend and her sister is fluent in Japanese. Her sister actually lives in Japan right now. But she's just like pausing it every few minutes going, that's not what they really said. Here's what they really said.
Yeah. Oh no, I have that all the time, just with anything. My mom prefers to watch all the just regular American shows with Dutch subtitles, and I am just so thrown off by every mistake and everything they do wrong, and there's just. And sometimes it's actually not even like bad translation. It's just you misheard what they said. Like that's not what they just mentioned. They were talking about the other person. Come on.
Yeah. If it's any consolation,
it's really frustrating to know both.
Some of the captions in English are off every now and then.
Yeah. That's just why.
I mean, especially for TV, because for the most part for TV, they literally just give it to a stenographer and he or she types it on their way and then spits it out, and they do a little proofreading and send it on its way. But it's not a very thorough process.
No, definitely. Like same goes for subtitles. It's always they must be really hurried because sometimes shit just slips through that is someone should have noticed that, but apparently there's really no time to get all of it out of. Ugh.
And then you wonder how much people care sometimes when, like, a pivotal part of the last season of The Flash was, I am the future Flash. Well, is there a comma in there or not? Damn it. And yeah, I went back and watched it, and there's a comma in there, and then, it ended up mattering. Like, just looking at it as though it was a transcript.
That's just annoying. Like, if you feel like you need a script. By the way, what were you
Oh, no, say? Go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything, so I was like...
No, I was out. I'm
yeah. No,
safely on my way.
No, man. You talking about getting annoyed by the little screw-ups and details. Like, I watched, in preparation to listen to your show, when you guys did Leon the Professional, I went back and watched that on Hulu, and I had the subtitles on, and every time they cursed, they changed it out. Like, they kept the cursing in the movie, but in the subtitles they changed it, and it was really weird.
Wow,
that's
just why clean that up?
Yeah, it was like by golly, and I'm like, he did not say by golly.
That's the best thing they could have gone with.
All right, where are we at? Whose turn is it? I don't even know anymore.
What was the last thing horror and Arkham Asylum, so it's your turn.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Right. Yeah, it's Dave.
Yeah. I would totally watch the horror the Arkham, you know what I'm saying. The Morrison and Arkham. I want to say somewhere that I read that he said that Morrison said that was just a dream sequence. It didn't actually happen in continuity, that it was just something that, it was like Batman's worst nightmare.
Yeah, that works for me. But I would prefer not have that framing device. I don't want Bruce Wayne to wake up at the end of that film. I just want him to go through it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like, let's not make that explicit and just be like, well, everything you just watched for the past 2 hours was not real. Like, that's just sort of a cheat.
Actually,
why not? I love that in Usual Suspects.
The only way I would do that is, it's not Bruce Wayne wakes up at his house and Alfred has, like, a fruit cup waiting for him. It's like Bruce Wayne wakes up in Arkham Asylum with the tags and tied down to a table, and like someone comes in with medicine for him. Then I can deal with it.
Also mindfuck me in the best way, but it still sort of make
At least then it would
all
thematically
the other
fit in
movies
with, like, his worst
no
fears
longer
that
canon, like.
I know. This would have to be an Elseworld movie, like they're talking about doing now.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
it would thematically, like, since part of the point of that story is it is his worst fear that he belongs there, maybe more than any of them. And then in the movie, he wakes up and he is there. And then, if you're gonna have him wake up, that's the only way I would accept it.
I think every Batman movie should end with him waking up in Arkham Asylum and them injecting him with something or bringing him his pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just better than canon. What we just came up with. That's how it all happened. It's too unrealistic. So this has to be the answer.
This is just the game of a madman.
I'm winning friends. That's what I'm doing. Last week I talked about like Batman is a sociopath. He's a dick. He doesn't deserve a happy ending. This week I'm like, no, he should just be in Arkham Asylum because he's Looney Tunes. He's completely.
Oh, yeah, right. All the Bat fans are going to be so happy with us.
Of course.
All right, so my next pick I think is fairly obvious. DC New Frontier by Darwin Cook.
Yeah. Now, granted, we have the animated movie, but
of course
it didn't go far enough.
Yeah, no. And this is
that is a thick book.
Based on the Ultimate Watchmen edition, I'd say I would love to see Zack Snyder do this too. For those of you who don't know, Wikipedia, as per Wikipedia, it is set from 1953 to 1960. Post-World War II sentiment and Cold War tension have pushed the age of the superhero into decline. However, when a threatening alien presence emerges on Earth, a new era of superheroes must join forces with veteran heroes and an unfriendly United States government to battle the nemesis. I love the idea of it. I love that that Darwin actually went back and wrote it to where they each become who their superhero selves in the year where they premiered. I love the idea of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman being Golden Age heroes, the Golden Age Trinity, working with the Justice Society, and then winding up meeting the Silver Age characters, Silver Age versions of Green Lantern and Flash and Martian Manhunter. And
wonderful version of Manhunter.
I loved how much.
Wonderful little man.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of my favorite subplots in that story. Him with the general. I feel like you probably could have gotten out of here by now. I could have, but I was enjoying the game.
Yep. And I guess that just goes back to like it is a period piece. I love that retro sci-fi feel. There is a theme through my picks, and through my desires. Yeah. Like I really love that aesthetic. So yeah, and we get both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart here. We get a surprisingly close take on a take of Batman versus Superman that surprisingly close to what we got in the movie, albeit with a little more levity. But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of New Frontier, and I'm pretty sure I bought it for you, didn't I, Jason?
Yeah,
like to make sure that
that was one of those where we talked about it, and then a couple days later I had a pack and I was like, oh, okay. So on my I read that on my ill-fated honeymoon. It was one of the highlights.
So yeah, I like the merging of the universes, the Earth 1 and Earth 2 multiverse. I love that they merged it and made it more of like a legacy piece. And by the way, that's the way you do a Justice League movie if you want to do one. You introduce it in Wonder Woman 2. We flash back to World War II and have her working with the Justice Society, and maybe even that gives her the idea for like what the new team should be called.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons maybe that she's so on board when Bruce talks to her about like we have to get together and all that. Like she's had that seed hanging out in the back of her head for 50, 60 years. Like, yeah, we're probably gonna need to group.
Yeah. That would be great. Yeah, just tying things together is always a nice feeling.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got. What you got, Eli?
I might as well move on to my the one I was sort of hinting at already. My Man of Steel 2 would have to be about Brainiac. We still somehow haven't seen Brainiac in live action on the big screen. It's just weird to me, and I feel like we have Superman Brainiac, I believe, the animated feature, and basically that's the same story as Injustice 2, where they sort of combine it with Supergirl's arrival, and in that sense, I thought might as well separate that and do something I haven't seen before to really just make Brainiac about coming for whatever city, probably Metropolis, because I feel like that's just such a big villain of Superman's, and I need that in my life. Just give it to me, DC. Yeah.
Now, in your iteration, is someone just like some reporter call him Brainiac or something, or is he just going like, that's my name, I'm Brainiac. Hey everybody, I'm Brainiac. I'm about to take over your shit, dog. I'm about to take it over. I don't know why Brainiac is an interesting character from Rick and Morty in my head, but
yeah.
Isn't every character?
He has so many descendants that are part of the canon. Has there ever been a version where he just kind of says like, my name is Brainiac, and I didn't name myself that, but my descendants will name me that, and I kind of like the name. So
yeah, like my name is Ted. I'm pretty smart. Brainiac is just a nickname that those assholes in high school gave me. I never liked,
but it took to him after a while.
That's the sad backstory. Like, that's how he became a villain.
Yeah,
he was bullied in high school,
and like all Teds that are bullied in high school,
else, and then
they become intergalactic villains.
That's how it happens.
Yeah,
it's the basic course.
If so, there would be an upside to bullying, but
yeah, unfortunately.
Oh. Yeah, I that's one of those where, like, I kind of do want there to be, like, a real, like, Earth, like, I want it to be a joke that they call him Brainiac. Like, I don't want that to be his name.
Yeah, you could just sort of skirt around the issue the entire film and not really address it head on, but you could probably make it work as just some sort of rough translation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is, like, I have many names in many languages across the universe, and this sort of approximates it. Like, that's just what they come up with.
I have many names in many universes.
Or maybe they could do a time
all
loop thing.
All slightly derisive. You would call me Brainiac here.
Wouldn't it be cool if, like, they did a time loop where Lex Luthor, as a kid, created Brainiac? And it keeps it around sort of like how Tony Stark has his little, like, robot who, like, sprays him with the fire extinguisher,
Yeah.
But as Lex grows, it grows, and as some, like, in the future we have a Brainiac at the end of the world who, like, goes back in time to ensure that Krypton meets the fate that it does.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think you just started to write Age of Ultron and then went a slightly different way with it.
Yeah, I started to write Age of Ultron, and then I shifted into Mark Millar's Red Sun, I think. But
yeah, or the Krypton series,
yeah, sort of,
that's coming up.
Yeah, but
I do. That's a thing I think I didn't like as much about both Injustice 2 and the Superman Brainiac animated feature. That, I don't know, I just prefer Krypton to be blown up because of, well, the Kryptonians, and not because Brainiac decided to blow the entire place to bits.
Yeah, it's more fun that way.
It's like, for me, it would work just him stealing the one city before, and just the rest being their own fault for exhausting the planet and whatever.
No, I did like the Injustice 2 line about, things are more valuable if they're precious, so I destroy everything.
Yeah, so in that cool sense, I can't really make it make sense for myself to have him only steal cities and then leave everything behind. Like, not sure how that would work. But then again, I'm not an expert on the entire history of the character, so what do I know?
I think the reason
or
people
galactic domination. We're very short on that too.
I think the people.
Well, now I'm an expert on the history of the.
I think the reason, though, that people, like, I don't favor the Kryptonians just, like, did it themselves. I mean, I realize that, there's an allegory there somewhere, but it always bothered me.
Somewhere deep underneath the surface.
Yeah. It always bothered me, though, because, like, well, okay, in like, the old the old shit. It's just like, unseen forces cause Krypton to explode. And, now is, they try to make it more of like the Kryptonians did it because they want to, like, drive the point home for the audience that if we don't put this water bottle into the proper container. But, I know it's not just that, but...
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be that preachy, I'd hope.
I've actually seen it be, almost in a few cases where that's the assumed, like, yeah, okay, we know we're going to overuse our resources and destroy everything. But where it gets preachy in a lot of instances isn't so much the, like, why didn't you help your planet? It's the government we had in place just sat there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Even in Man of Steel, when they come in and it's just everyone in their nice little robes, and no one wants to do a damn thing to save anything. Yeah, it's been more of a critique of lame duck government than it has been so much a critique of our anthropomorphic use of the planet. But
well, one of my big problems with Man of Steel, though, was that, like, they're like, what would you have us do? I'm like, you've got these giant ships that you're putting, like, you're throwing aliens into so you can send them to the Phantom Zone. How about use one of those ships to, like, I don't know, save some people? I mean, they can't be, you can't save everyone.
I don't know, fucking anything. Literally all just sitting here.
Just do
Ducks
something.
in a semicircle row.
So I don't mind the idea that, Krypton is about to explode in a few hundred years, or that Jor-El is being like, hey, shit's about to go down. But I like the idea that, like, they were working on it maybe, and then Brainiac just expedited the process.
That's fair. I'm not saying you couldn't make it work, it's just a thing I've seen, like, one after the other in a too short a span of time. Like, that's probably why it sort of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, oh, wait, this movie is the exact same thing as the game I just played, and come on, guys.
I mean, I've also seen it where, like, Zod had a hand in destroying Krypton because he didn't like where their society was going. He didn't feel like it was, like,
That's
what Krypton should have been.
Do. I don't like where society is going right now, so I'm planning to. Oh Lord,
that's not even.
I probably shouldn't
Noah's
say
arcing
that
it.
on
That's
the
just
internet.
Blank slating it. And I don't know. Like, what's step 2?
Well, you figured that out after the mass genocide.
I don't know. You put a world engine on Earth. I think that's step 2. I don't know.
No, step 1, blow up the planet. We all know they're fucked. Step 2, we're gonna coast for a little while. Maybe hit Maui.
Yeah.
Chill. Think about ourselves. Have a good think.
Exactly.
Step 3,
it's a lot more quiet.
Probably
after
very
blowing up the
sci-fi.
planet.
Yeah.
Probably gonna involve another planet, some kind of, I don't know, haughtily named, dangerous sounding engine of some kind.
Right. You know what? That's something that's always bothered me. When they've done it, they'll like have like they're sending Kal-El off in the spaceship as like Krypton is like shaking and like dying, and everything is getting engulfed in flames. And then, like, there's Zod and his men running after Jor-El, going like, oh, there's a unapproved energy signature that could only mean the launching of a ship. Let's go get him. Your world is falling apart. Yeah, but he's sending a thing.
Rules.
So what?
Yeah.
But
no, I mean,
there's a spaceship.
Literally, the world
Like,
below
do you
you is
care?
crumbling. It's just this is go say bye to people or go fuck in the street or whatever it is your last act will going to be. But you're down to your last act now.
Screwing in the street, man. Heresy.
There would be a lot of screwing in the streets. Like, I don't even blame people at that point. So.
I mean,
Well, I don't know if their leaders are looking around at everything crumbling and going, "What would you have us do?" I don't know that they would think to whip it out.
like that's the point where like you hear your leaders go like, "Well, the planet's dying, but I don't know. Are we supposed to do something?" You're like, "All right, well, it's been fun. I think with my last 20 hours, I'm going to become a heroin addict. That's how I'm going to.
Right?
So I'm going to spend my last half a day. Peace, guys."
Where were we? Whose turn is it?
I was last, so Jason?
I think it's me, yeah.
All right. Let's do this.
Well, let me go with Black Mirror as a movie.
Ooh, that's in my honorable mentions, I believe.
I still haven't read that. It's on the long, long list. Oof.
It is very roughly the story of Dick Grayson taking over the mantle, having his qualms with it and whatnot. And then also very much the story, and way more intriguing, is, there's a lot of cool stuff in there with Nightwing. Or Bat, Grayson, whatever. But there's, James Gordon Jr. is the main focal point of this story, where he returns after so many years, saying that he's on his meds and he's got his psychopathy under control, or sociopathy, better term. It's actually called interpersonal sociality disorder at this point, but whatever. He's got things under control and he's on his meds, and after some investigation, it turns out he's re-engineered his meds so that he's more detached and less empathetic than before, because he thinks that's a huge deal. So he decides he's gonna, out Dick Grayson.
I need that recipe.
Yeah.
How do I do that to my pills? Damn it!
You need to read the story before you.
You need to see what happens
before you start doing that.
Yeah, maybe before you get real interested in it. But it does have like a cool cliffhanger, and a cool. The story sums itself up well with Gordon Jr., where it turns. And by the way, this has to be a rated R movie. I need to stress that, because you look in the book and there are pieces of decapitated body hanging around. He's literally like dismembering people in his basement while they're alive. It goes for it, man. But great story, and great little, I don't know, it ties a knot really well between like Grayson dealing with that kind of evil, and like Gotham getting darker and darker, it seems like, and then Gordon having to deal with the evil that's in his family. And then there's a nice cliffhanger where there was a plan to unleash his new formula on a bunch of infants and basically make like a generation of sociopathic babies. And and he's some evidence to suggest kind of the cliffhanger is some evidence suggesting that he actually got away with that part of the plan. Mm-hmm. But anyway, neat story.
I dig that. Yeah,
neat story. It'd make a hell of a kind of a thriller, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like an ending that Hollywood would never like, but sure.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean,
it actually might be better off as an episode of Black Mirror.
That's actually true.
That works.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, I'd be down for that, man.
I'm going to call that my horror section. But
yeah,
Dave, what you got?
Well, I've mentioned it on the show before. I'd be remiss to not mention it here. I kept thinking it was going to go into the honorable mentions section, but no, I really want to see it. I really want to see a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie, team-up movie. We can do first-person narrative, or Skeets can narrate the origins for the duo. I've been envisioning like a buddy comedy, like a team-up comedy, starring Owen Wilson as Booster and Vince Vaughn as Blue Beetle. They're probably too old now, but I don't care. I'd still love to see them do it.
I don't know. They may be about right. I mean, part of Gold's character is that he's a washed-up athlete, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Wilson would play washed-up athlete to the T's. All you do is dye some of the little silver lining out of Vince Vaughn's hair, and you're on your way.
Mm-hmm. And but yeah, I would love to see that. And it was in my honorable mentions section, but somehow fits in as Justice League International. Love to see all that as well, but as an extension of the Booster and Blue Beetle stuff. I don't really have a lot on it. I don't know what the villain would be. I don't have like a real idea for the movie aside from the fact that they're teaming up and it's going to be great.
Yeah,
and hilarious.
That's how I did my list.
And you're going to bill it as a comedy first, right? On that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like I would do the Owen Wilson Vince Vaughn version of Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Well, do it as a. It's almost like it's a if you're like you tell the protagonist it's a comedy and you tell the antagonist this is a serious film. Whoever it is, like don't come up with some silly villain. Like, let's get somebody real in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And have them treat it like it's real, and then see that's how you end up with wonderful little scenes like the dance off at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing? Dancing. Do a dance off. That kind of. I think that's how you end up with that glorious moment.
Yeah. All right, Eli, what you got?
My number 5 would be a Green Lantern flick that would come after the inevitable first one that will probably deal with Sinestro, because we still haven't done that in the first one, and let's be real, it's Sinestro. We need to do that first. But after that, I'd like to see Atrocitus or Necron. I really don't have... It was hard for me to choose. I feel like I don't know enough about either to really have a strong preference, but just something different. That would excite me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've heard plenty of good stuff about certain storylines that I still haven't read, so I couldn't just say, hey, let's put Blackest Night on air or anything, because I just haven't gotten through that yet.
That one's on my honorable.
Yeah.
It's on my honorable mention, but it's such a convoluted story. It'd be
yeah, no, you'd have
complete
to
shit
really
if you
adapt
turned in
it.
a 2-hour movie with it. You wouldn't be able to
I would
put that together. Or, I mean, if you did, you'd have to take like just the top 2 storylines and then cut out a ton of fat. Just be like, what do we absolutely need to tell this story? And then, you know, you'd get the inevitable backlash of like, oh my god, you missed so much. Well,
They ruined
everything.
everything.
Didn't have a 5.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could adapt it in the sense that BVS is sort of an adaptation of Dark Knight Returns, but it isn't. You know, like, in that sense, you can just take concepts out of it and work with it and homage it without really making an adaptation that's just never going to be the same thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We do need to go, we need a good Green Lantern.
We do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have a Green Lantern suggestion as well. If I can pull up my next one and stick with your Green Lantern theme.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story out there called Hero's Quest. It is loosely a Dennis O'Neil situation, but I've heard there's a series of audiobooks that do like semi-original material called Graphic Audio. Really love those guys. They put out a fine product. And
heard of them before. Yeah.
Yeah,
you haven't tried it, but
it's about 6-7 hours. Sometimes they do bigger stories and go for 2-parters, so it's like 12 hours. But anyway, it'll get you through a workday wonderfully. And one of the ones, I heard it there first and looked at it. It's got some, they pulled a lot, but it's Green Lantern Hero's Quest, and it's basically Kyle Rayner's coming out party. And like, the story makes him so wonderfully lovable. It's the story of like the guy who gets the ring almost accidentally and doesn't even believe it works, and then is just at home experimenting with it, and just the story of a guy that goes between like it's just some guy who doesn't have his shit together at all. I mean, he's a graphic artist, illustrator, whatever you want to call him. I think he's like trying to do all of like every job that involves drawing in some capacity. He's kind of trying anything he can to make that work, and suddenly he's a Green Lantern. And like the first time he meets the Justice League, it doesn't go, like, it's just awkward. They don't like him, they don't trust him, and everyone's worried about like that thing on your finger is like the most powerful weapon in the universe. What who the hell are you? You know. And just they just make you like the guy. They just make you like the guy a lot. And got a great story about how Ganthet, the surviving Owen, after all the stuff that happened before, and some of his other Owens and what they want to do. And like, there's a whole thing about how they're trying to design the universe to be perfect, because like they learned a lot from Earth, where like we have creativity and we have art and stuff like that, and the Owens really didn't have art, and so they tried it, and like a bunch of funny stuff in there about like theater they were terrible at, music not great, but sculpture, because it was all mathematical, they were great at. So they decided to resculpt the universe, and in the process of doing so, it's one of my favorite lines though, in the process of doing so, they kind of, Ganthet suggests that a lot of what they did was just change the probability of certain things happening. And he references like, well, now you have a Superman and you have Wonder Woman and all these other things. And Rayner correctly, balks at that and says like, wait, are you telling me y'all are the reason we have like superheroes? And it was like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and supervillains. I mean, we changed probabilities, and so all this stuff happened. And
neat.
And then poor Rayner says like, what about Batman? He's just human. And Ganthet like pauses for a second and just goes, he's an anomaly.
Nice.
Like, even the Owens don't have a really good explanation for Batman. Anyway, just charming ass story where like he describes like meeting Superman and you know, he describes it as like you don't really understand until you're in his presence, and then you're there, and it's just there's like he just embodies hope. Like there's just you just see him and everything seems doable, and then like you see Batman, who's like he doesn't even move, but you're afraid. Like you're like it just down your spine. You're afraid of him. It's like this is fantastic. Anyway. So, wonderful story, though, about Kyle Rayner saving the entire universe and none of the Justice League believing at all that he did it until, of all people, like, Ray Palmer points out, like, yeah, there's some of my data is missing. Now, this makes sense. And then they kind of give him props. But
neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
More things I'll end up reading.
I figured that would be on your list.
Really love that one. I've fallen in love with that story.
All right, so... Me now, huh? Is that what's happened? Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I want to see Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I want to see like a TV film version with like all the actors returning from like as many as I could get, you know, from across the board. Like,
yeah,
I'd love to see homages to the comic book counterparts and to the animated counterparts, but I really want to see like, you know, as much as we can from like different TV and movies and stuff.
Yeah, just everything through the years, sort of in a compilation adventure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, you might as well incorporate as much as you can.
Yeah. And based on some of the news this week, like maybe that's something we can actually look forward to.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the like keep your fingers crossed. Maybe they're gonna try it.
Who knows?
Maybe a bunch of lawyers can agree
Jeff
on
Johns
some stuff.
Enough freedom. Yep.
Well, Jeff Johns is a pretty intimidating guy physically. I just say you trap him in the room with all the lawyers, like him, and grab like Greg Capullo, and put them in the room with the lawyers and go, "We're gonna agree before we leave here."
That would work. Yeah, I there's nothing ethically wrong with that. That is a case of the means are totally worth. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would go Machiavellian on that one. Yeah. Ends worth the means or whatever.
Obviously. Yeah.
If it got us Red Skies and Crisis, I would be okay with a couple lawyers getting their arms literally bent.
You know, 2024, man. Flash actually lasts. That could be a pretty good timestamp for when a Crisis movie could come out.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's still feasible. Ooh.
You know, we're so far away that if they really wanted to, they could start gearing that direction and really nail it.
I mean, what are they talking about? 2020 for a Flashpoint?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's plenty more time to plan, to have all the things kind of lined up that you need to between all the different productions. I mean, it could be done.
Yeah.
You've got years to get this thing planned.
Mm-hmm.
And the funniest part is, like, all you need to do is add some stuff to a few people's, you know, I don't know how you would do it, like an addendum to a contract, or maybe a few people that are going up for renewal just say, like, well, even if your show doesn't last, we want you to, you know, try to be available for this thing we might do.
Right.
I mean, you can just, even if you want to keep your secrecy, you just tell everybody, like, yeah, we're hoping we get to do like a Netflix one shot. We want you to be available for future stuff. So for like, for 2 appearances, we may need you. And then don't tell anybody what you're doing. And then, you know, in 2012, be like, cool, we'll see you in Vancouver, and everyone shows up, and it's like every version of everyone that we've ever seen. Like, oh my God.
I mean, who doesn't want to see, you know, Keanu Reeves and Matt Ryan hanging out together?
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just Matt Ryan. Just Matt Ryan over there with like, you got a light,
before,
and then Keanu Reeves just hands him a stick of gum instead.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. All right, Eli, what you got
now? Number 4, if I'm not mistaken. I want a New Gods movie. I've been reading that over the summer. I am sort of obsessed with the Fourth World. It's a thing that just really pushes all my right buttons for some reason. I do enjoy like world building and just something that's within the universe but so completely out there and its own thing and another set of toys to play with. It's just I can't say I've read everything, but it's a lot of fun. I mean,
it'd be hard.
Feel like
it's
there's
been around
more
for a while.
Exactly. But there are some lists on the internet like, hey, this is every appearance, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get through everything, but sure, I'll know where to start now. But no, it's like we sort of end up with Darkseid as a Justice League villain. Okay, that's sort of it, but there is more to it, like more you can do with it, I feel like. So I want to see that explored in some more.
Yeah, I've wanted to see something related to the New Gods for a long time. I always felt like it would probably be better as like a Netflix series or something, or
I mean,
HBO
format,
or
I
Stars.
don't care.
Or whatever. I don't think New Gods was on my honorable mentions list, but the Forever People were.
Fair enough. You get a pass on that one.
Yeah, I think like you do Forever People,
counts.
you can kind of like jump into New Gods stuff, and then like, but I don't know, they feel very Guardians of the Galaxy, and now that's like an avenue that's open. So I'm like, well, shit, we should probably do that.
Yeah, and in a way that doesn't seem like, oh, they're obviously ripping off Guardians, which we've heard enough of by now.
Right.
Yeah, at this point, if you do anything, with more than 3 people that's, kind of comedy-based, they claim that you're ripping off Guardians.
That's fair, yeah. Let's never do anything with multiple people and comedy-based stuff.
Right?
That's off limits now, by the way. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court ruled that only James Gunn can do that from now on.
Yeah, and I mean, he still did it the best the first time, but hey, whatever.
Actually, I prefer Volume 2.
I remember that, yeah. We disagreed on that one.
I think Volume 1's funnier, but Volume 2 was, man, I wept.
I did too. I actually think Volume 2 is funnier as well. Like, I just think it's overall a better movie. But
yeah, it's hard to make me cry, I guess. I cry a lot more about my own life than I do about films. So.
Well, see, I do the opposite. I cry a lot more about films than I ever do about my real life.
Yep.
Well,
me
good
too.
for you.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's a tragedy. I don't know. Whatever. What do you mean?
Yeah, in my own life,
What do
I'm
you
like,
mean?
I mean,
Angel,
yeah,
don't
that
leave
arm
Buffy.
is going to be missed. Yeah. But what are you going to do? Yeah, same thing, though. You show me, like, the first 15 minutes of Up or something. I'm like, I can't watch any more. I'm done. I'm so done. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Just bawling. Literally, that's true, though. I didn't finish the movie. I was like, if that's what the first 15 minutes did to me, I don't care. I don't care what the rest of this movie does.
Yeah.
To be fair, that is the best part, probably, because I barely remember the rest. There's something about a bird and a little boy and whatever, but
Some kind of talking
it's
dog.
like the first part that sticks with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you, Eli, did you ever see My Life with Michael Keaton and Nicole Kidman?
Don't think so.
Dude, it's like the first part of that movie is like, it pretty much just opens with like Michael Keaton like recording a video blog or whatever you could call it for his son and saying, hey, by the time you see this, I'll be dead. Because he's got cancer. And like, oh my gosh, it's just, it's a great movie. And
Is this a suggestion purely based on making me cry, or?
yeah.
No,
Spoiler, it does not have a happy ending.
Well,
They
thanks
find
for
a cure for
spoiling
that guy.
one.
I'm going to send you a Futurama episode later. That should do it. That's my go-to.
Yeah, the Futurama episode.
You know
2000
which one.
Summers or whatever.
Yeah.
I know which one. But yeah, that's not the point of My Life. That's not really a spoiler that he bites it in the end necessarily. It's more about the journey. I totally
figured,
recommend it.
Yeah. Now you've recommended 7 movies for the podcast. One day.
I didn't recommend it for the podcast necessarily, but now that you mention it, I wouldn't mind hearing you and your mom.
I don't want to make
it.
a second list of recommendations just for me personally. Like, come on.
Just to break you as an individual. That's all. We'll just make that list for you.
No, well,
we
I
want
think
you to be
there
a
are-
whimpering
Fill it
mess.
Like, there are
And,
movies that I would like to hear your thoughts on that I have no interest in, like, actually hearing you talk about on the show. Like Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. I have no interest in hearing you talk about that on the show. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, though.
I'll put it on a separate list. Fine.
I'm like, hey, how terrible was that movie, right?
Oh, thanks for making me watch it in advance.
Yeah, that's how you're going to feel afterward, too. Kind of used.
I'll mentally prepare for a long shower afterwards.
Yeah. You may want to actually shower afterward.
Yeah,
that'll be up to personal tolerance.
I kind of really don't. I just kind of drew a name out of a hat for the Days of Thunder thing. I really don't. You don't have to watch that. My life though is really good though. For real, Zio.
I'll remember that one.
Who are we on?
And if not, I'll listen to the podcast and cringe at my voice and remember what I didn't remember.
Right.
That's why we record things.
Exactly. It's all for our personal use of what did I say? What did those guys say to me?
Mm-hmm.
How will I ever keep it all together in my mind?
If only I had the patience to do anything more than guess.
Jason and I used to hang out for hours and just talk and record ourselves, just so we'd remember what we said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that turned into this.
Very roughly, yeah.
That's what it's for. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but in a sense, that's part of, like, Mom even mentioned that at some point, like, I'll have her voice, and a lot of it just whenever she's gone, eventually. So in a sense, that's just a treasure to have, like, conversations with people that aren't going to stick around forever, but, you know, it has some beauty.
Absolutely. Now, it might get kind of creepy, if you're, speaking of whenever she's gone, and then
we talk about her death oddly often. Like, somehow it keeps coming up.
Well, that's fine. It's just that, if, she comes back from the store and you're sitting there listening to her, because you're like, you were gone. What was I going to do? Then it might be an issue.
Listening to your voice.
That's what's actually gonna break you. Is there's an effect that happens sometimes when you're listening to a podcast where you want to respond to them because these people are in your ears, and if it's conversational enough, sometimes you want to, like, ask a question or say something. That's where it'll break you. You'll be listening to one of them one day and and want to say something. I can't anymore.
Yeah,
you'll have a wonderful moment.
Why didn't I say that one thing I wanted to say?
Yeah, and Dave and I'll obviously just be happy because you're crying. Apparently that's a goal we have.
Yeah, that's all you want for me in life. That's wonderfully supportive of you guys, yeah.
That's not all I want for you.
We're just trying to make...
thank God.
Yeah. But this is the first step, though, is to make sure that you can be reduced to a puddle.
Right.
Because then we can trust you.
Here's a cool thing. I think, if not for, your mom, then probably for us at the very least. I'm pretty sure that we could probably just grab our voices, like have a like a little AI or something, grab our voices, and people could go to our tombstones and interact with holograms of us responding based on
let's
the
hope
kinds
technology
of things we said
gets
here.
there. Yeah. We've said all the words basically at some point. Like at one point or another, we'll have said anything you could possibly say. So they can just piece those words together and create wonderful little sentences that sound like us. Yeah.
Had the creepiest chill go down my spine. Oh gosh, that's so creepy.
If it's any comfort, that's going to be hard with current technology. Like the lady who recorded Siri went to work for like 8-9 hours a day, like full schedule, to record just pieces of words for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then she found out later when she heard her voice on one of the phones that she was Siri.
Well,
so
it is we've got her
labor intensive right now.
I think we've got her beat, man. We're on episode 425. I think we've got her beat.
It's possible, yeah. I'm not doing the editing. That's not happening. But
oh no,
it's
AI,
there,
man.
It's there.
I don't know what that means, but artificial intelligence is going to come into this somehow.
Yeah.
AI will have taken over by then anyway.
Yeah. The artificial intelligence isn't going to do any of that for us to remember us. They're just going to roll their giant tank over our skulls while fighting the last remaining bits of the resistance.
Right.
Can't wait.
Did neither of you get that reference?
No. Missed it. What was going on?
It's a direct reference to Terminator. Jeez.
too long.
Right, whose turn is it?
Way too long. I think it's mine. I'm gonna parlay Eli's suggestion into the recent Dark Side War.
Yeah.
Just because as a movie, it's got such potential to set up. I mean, it sets up a lot. Like the 3 Jokers, that all came out of that. A lot of the stuff they're doing now with the button came out of it. And it is a pretty interesting story of kind of some of the early days of the New Gods, and especially like Metron's story. A lot of cool scenes with Mr. Miracle, because why the hell not? Mm-hmm. And
why the hell not, indeed.
Yeah, it just one of those stories where like
for every
just generally one of those stories where you look over it and it's just there's a lot happening, and it would be fun to see on screen, and especially as like just a DCAE movie. I'd be fine with it. Like you could do Dark Side War and then even a couple sequels, probably based on all the stuff they explored. Because you got to remember, we're also talking about like it's a series in which Barry Allen becomes death incarnate for a little while, and the god of apocalypse is Lex Luthor. Batman hangs in the chair as long as he can because he's basically the god of knowledge for a little while there. Like this is all. There's just a lot to explore.
Yeah.
There are other examples. I've forgotten them. I think some other people got some cute little abilities too. Like I think Shazam got some stuff going on. I forgot everybody's stuff. Sorry, but
there's probably plenty in there.
Yeah, but even the examples I can remember, there's some stuff going on.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Yeah, I was gonna say you just want to see Bat God. You just want to see.
I mean, Bat God's cool. Yes. Literally, Bat God,
yeah.
like the Bat Bard, or whatever you want to call it. Like he gets in trouble sometimes because some writers write him as knowing too much, and then you have a situation like this where like, no, he's in Metron's chair. Bitch, pull over. He knows as much as he needs to know. Like we're just that complaint is not going to work for the moment.
Oh yeah, I'm buying the figure set. I've seen it online. Just Batman sitting in the chair.
You want it? That chair that to me sometimes looks hilariously as though it was made out of PVC pipe.
What?
Every now and then I see a picture of that chair and it looks like stripped down, especially like the old days. It somehow looks stripped down in a way where I'm like, man, I think I can make that chair out of shit in my garage.
I feel that way about the original Enterprise.
But that literally was plumbing supplies.
Probably, yeah. Like,
I mean, that's how they did.
See the original Enterprise, I'm like, those nacelles.
They really did.
PVC
that was how
pipe.
they designed it. It's like they went down the plumbing supplies aisle of whatever store they were in and went, okay, we can use that. I mean,
but
most
Matt
of
Jeffries was.
I mean, it's brilliant how they did it. It's just that the funny part is a lot of those materials are, if you broke them apart, you could flush with or through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could say that about a human skull.
Hollywood works sometimes. Yeah, it's true.
You could say a lot of things about a human skull. Human skulls are useful for a lot of things.
That sounds like one of those.
Cereal out of it.
That really sounds like one of those things. Like me and Dave, when we lived together, used to like set a notebook out in the middle of the living room and put up like a bizarre title at the top of the page, like 100 things you could do with a human skull, and just blank it and walk away. And that was like the challenge. Was like every time you walk through the living room, you'd have to go up and be like, number 3, flush, or something like that.
Oh man, yep, good stuff.
Really need to find that anal beads list.
Really do, and then explain ourselves.
That
very
sounds
thoroughly.
like another episode.
Anyway.
No, the title of that list was it was like steps for taking over a country using only a sex toy, and we got to like step 26 in this procedure. It was that was the premise. Was like, how would you use just the idea of like we started kind of joking about like, you can take anything and make it a religious symbol if you really try too hard. And that's where we ended up with like, what if it's something ridiculous? Like, what if it's like anal beads? Like, could you start what if you could just like start a theocracy with anal beads? And we actually started trying to plot it out. We got about 24, 25 steps in, and then I think I passed out laughing, and we lost track of the list the next day.
That's a shame. That should go to like the next generation and the generation after that.
Eli's like, I never want to be on the show again.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that if we ever do this again, I probably should plan it earlier in the day.
Oh.
Because I should have figured this would go on for as long as it does, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably should have warned you about that.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I
I'm still looking at my day like, man, I've got so much I got to get done.
All right, I guess we should move
but
along.
Not right now.
That is fair. That is fair. I need to.
Yeah.
I need to be able to, work on things.
All right. Moving along. My next suggestion is JLA Earth 2 by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly. I mean, why? How could you not? It's basically them going over to Earth 2, which is really Earth 3, but whatever.
Details.
And fighting the crime syndicate from the evil antimatter universe. And it was kind of neat for a couple of different reasons, but primarily because everything is like reversed over there, and Morrison's take on that was like, as the Justice League goes over and tries to take down the crime syndicate, they're just like really ill-equipped. And it turns out because it's the evil antimatter universe, like evil is somehow like the rule of order there, like universally. And then it like shows like pretty much the entire crime syndicate come over to our Earth, and like just Aquaman and Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter take them out or something, and like really quickly, and like with no trouble, and it's like, oh, because good prevails here primarily, and evil prevails over. It was kind of heady, but it was fun.
Clever, yeah.
I like it.
That sounds like something I'll read as well.
Yeah. And of course, the most fun for me is just seeing like the different roles he throws, like the big bad guy over in like Gotham is Boss Gordon, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's mine. What you got? Eli?
Number 3 is pretty much obvious and has been in the news lately. Red Son. That graphic novel is so good. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I need that to happen, preferably with the same cast that we've already established, because in my mind, Elseworlds are, Another Earth still has the same looking people, but whatever. As long as I get it,
well, not necessarily.
I'd be very happy.
If we do our Crisis on Infinite Earths and we've got Grant Gustin with Ezra Miller.
Yeah, I know. That's sort of what happens with TV and movies, but like in comics, I'd always in my mind have Batman be the same sperm cell as the other Batman on the other Earth, and have them look the same. Just I'm not sure why it works like that in my mind, but I wouldn't mind that.
But what do you do with like? Well, yeah, I mean, it's just you got like the Bruce Wayne in Gotham by Gaslight cannot feasibly be the same sperm cell.
No, fair enough.
I'm sorry.
Probably not. Yeah.
There's a concept in philosophy though of when they talk about multiple Earths or multiple dimensions or infinite possibilities in particular, when they say that and the idea of infinite possibilities gets down, it's so discrete at some point that it's literally everything that has ever happened or will ever happen in this universe as opposed to the next one is exactly the same, except I have literally one more hair follicle on my head.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to infinites, it doesn't have to be blocky. It can be that simple. Nothing will at all change, except that when I perspire and when I expire, it will be with one more hair follicle. That's it. I mean, yeah, you can keep your version of like that that sperm and that egg, making basically that character over and over again. It's fine.
Thank God.
Yeah,
I'm not philosophically incorrect in my multiverse assumptions.
No, it's like the Grant Morrison has embraced this more than anybody. That like they're all valid,
Yeah, I mean, you're not philosophically incorrect, but you're not philosophically. I mean, you're incorrect and correct at the same time. Saying... Everything is 100% probable in this notion of the universe or the multiverse. So,
yeah, well, that's the fun part about philosophy is you can be wrong, but you can't necessarily be right.
Well, I wasn't expecting to be right at any point during this show.
Yeah.
Sure.
that would be a foolish goal for this kind of show.
But yeah, I've got Red Sun on my list actually.
I did too. I had to mark it right off. I mean, that's just we all know that, and I mean, I'm pretty sure we had people write in saying similar things. Like we all know that's just a damn good story.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you don't know what that is, Superman lands in the Soviet Union instead of in the U.S. So I mean, we got the Green Lantern Corps, the Green Lantern Marine Corps, I should say. Freaking Lex Luthor, like, reverse engineering alien technology for Kennedy. I mean, it's kind of brilliant. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that one ends, you sort of referenced it earlier. It's so good. It's so clever. I really dug it.
It's amazing. And like Luthor is kind of the guy you're rooting for the whole time. It's a wonderful premise, and he does a great job with it.
I love the lowest bit. Why don't you put the whole world in a bottle, Superman? Like,
that's that sentence. Like, oh man, that it's one of those where like you read that and you have to like put the book down for a second and like deal with it internally for a few minutes and then read the next page. Like, and I've done that where I've read something and went, oh fuck, just had to like sit down and process it for a second.
Which I love the dude, the ending for Red Sun is amazing. I don't think I want to spoil it here in case anyone hasn't read it, but Grant Morrison takes credit for that, by the way. So
of course,
he's friends
so
with Mark
know that
Millar,
it's heady and makes a lot of sense and makes you think.
Yeah, one of my favorite Superman stories.
Easily. I mean, it's
especially
in the Elseworlds, it's like All-Star and then Red Sun for me. Maybe the two most provocative Superman stories.
All right, where are we at? Whose was that? Was that yours, Eli?
That was mine. Yeah.
Or since we already talked about it, you want to just go ahead and go back to Eli? Because it was on both of ours.
I guess I just crossed them off your list as well.
I mean, we all had them, right? We all had Red Sun. We all knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. Then I'll just move on to my number 2, which is Injustice. Which I'm not sure if I'd want them to go in the direction of just straight into the game's story or start off with setting it up with year 1 like from the comics. I'd like that. It's just so good. It's really, really enjoyable, and
the story?
I really don't care what people think that wouldn't be acceptable to a mass audience to have an evil Superman. It would rock. It would be so good, and especially if you start off with year 1, it's not so out there. It's not you landed in a world where Superman's evil. You actually see him grow in that direction and get darker and darker. So it's you sort of still sympathize, and it's really interesting. So
Bruce says something similar like this is how we watch the hero that we all loved become the tyrant that we fear, or something like that. Because in Injustice 2 he's trying to give like a recap almost. And it's one of the greatest premises, like one of the just first chapters ever, I think, for a Superman story is like he gets tricked into killing Lois and their child.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And what
and the entirety of Metropolis, but nobody cares.
Yeah, but
details. It's
the
child. Let's be real.
But yeah, like when it hits him is like when he hears that second heartbeat, the tiny heartbeat stop. It was like everything the Kents taught him was irrelevant at that point, and it does. It's a fantastic starting point for what is a really great story, especially. And I just caught up on 2 finally, thanks YouTube. Just went ahead and did.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I finally broke down. But it's a great premise and a great freaking story. And what surprises me is that the game is so successful with, a few million purchases, and it doesn't translate at all to what people want to see on the screen for some reason. How many complaints did we all hear about, BVS, that's not my Superman and that's not my Batman? And then you look at Injustice and you're like, man, they're doing the crap out of that story over here, and we're all eating it up. What's the difference?
I don't know. There seems to be a disconnect somewhere. Like, people are watching. So many of these people who are claiming that that's not my Superman claims like Superman doesn't save people, it's the murderverse, etc., etc. And I'm like, there was a whole big montage of him saving people in BVS. I don't understand. Yeah, but it was just a montage.
Willful ignorance. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do we need 3 movies of him like saving cats out of trees and shit for you to like? I don't know.
Yeah. Even that is said like Batman says
he does
that he's saving cats out of trees. So that must have happened. It's canon.
He must have literally saved a cat from a tree at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne must have read about it in the Daily Planet. That's happened.
Because every time he saves a cat out of a tree, they write a puff piece editorial.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he says every time. That
Such a dark universe. Oh.
Look at him saving that ship full of people. What a bastard. Anyway.
Yeah. Safely lowering that exploded shuttle to the ground. What an emo
mopey
fuck.
asshole.
He might as well have a handlebar mustache.
I bet he's listening to Chris Cornell right now. Oh, wait. Chris Cornell died. We love you, Chris.
That was the first movie. He's moved on to now. His favorite band now is probably War on Drugs.
Right. Oh. Yeah. It's
maybe
so
Yola
hard
Tango.
to get people to... So it's just so hard to get people to understand. Like, I'm not the hugest fan of Man of Steel. It's okay. It's fine. I liked it, but it's, I have issues with it.
I was entertained.
BVS,
That's all I've got.
Yeah, but BVS, people are like, oh, he's so mopey. I'm like, dude, he's saving everyone, and everybody gives him shit.
Yeah, he has every right to be ever so slightly mopey in that movie. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's
and
like
even having watched Injustice 1 and 2 as a storyline at this point, there's still the fun of Injustice 1 was this guy has no intention of moping. Like, we're talking about a guy that fries Billy Batson. Billy freaking Batson. Yep. That is a 14-year-old boy. Just fries him. Just executes him. Summarily executes him. In front of people. It's what?
Have they fixed the Novak problem?
The Novak problem. What's that?
Remember when we were playing it, the first Injustice, and we realized that in all the cutscenes, Superman just looks like BJ Novak, and it was really distracting.
Yes, now he looks more like Tim Daly, and it's kind of also distracting.
All right,
but they did fix the Novak problem in particular. But like Series 1 and that, he's just so freaking he's a despot. And then you go to Series 2 and they have to team up a little bit, but he's still not. I mean, he's still him. Like, he's not going to be.
Yeah, they tackled that really well. He didn't suddenly change and become an ally. He was still like, if he could, he would go back to.
It's just they were on the same side for a minute. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he has absolutely he has every intention of becoming a tyrant again. Like, he really believes that this new edict of his is the way to go. Like, that's how he saves humanity.
Yeah, he brought order, and that was his rightful decision.
Yeah, and it was the right decision to do. And that's why the Injustice storyline worked so well. Was if for just a second you can kind of believe what a villain's saying, like, well, that makes some sense. That makes a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I listened to that episode of what was it? What's it called? I can't remember. There was some podcasts that they were going over the best kinds of villains.
Imaginary Worlds.
Imaginary Worlds, yeah. I listened to a huge amount of that.
Plans.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty obvious in the annals of narrative, but it's kind of a fun episode to listen to anyway.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Injustice. Like, I don't know what's going on in Injustice 2. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, like I said, it's sure if you've seen the animated feature about Supergirl and Brainiac, it's generally that, except with a Superman that was evil before.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty. Yeah.
All right.
And some other characters thrown in that are just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure.
Oh, right, and you get to see Swamp Thing not wasted.
Oh, yeah.
Stupid Batman and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, we're gonna do a callback here.
Though that did make me laugh.
It did, but it was like, by that point in the movie, it was like, are we just giving up now? Are we giving up on... We've given up on this being a good movie, haven't we? Because they're making fun of themselves for their own writing at that point in the movie. Oh, fuck.
I gave up on the movie when, about the point Harley... I don't remember what happened first. The dance scene in the club or Harley farting in the car.
It was the farting. It was the farting.
Yeah, I'm still really glad I haven't seen it. I feel sort of clean and saved from this experience.
You should just keep yourself as mentally sterilized as possible. Yeah.
On your watch of the animated series universe, just ignore that one. It's not real.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on including that somewhere in the middle of season 2 or anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, well, it'd have to be after everything, but no, it's not.
Exactly.
It can't
would
be
have
canon.
Been weird. So
it's not canon. Just
I have to be really, really bored at the end if I. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who's up? I don't know. I've lost track.
I think I'm up.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with another one that kind of out of the graphic audio canon. Where like there's a paperback for it, but honestly I can't even tell which one's the horse and which one's the cart. There's a story though of Flash stop motion.
Okay.
It has to do with Wally West, and it's kind of a neat thing. It's somebody using metagenes, metahuman DNA to try to reconstruct a speedster, but when they do so, they create something called the superluminoid that doesn't move by going... This creature doesn't so much move from X to Y within a universe as Barry does, but this creature moves between universes, like finding wormholes every time it moves. So it can go from X to Y within one universe, but it does so by essentially skipping itself like a stone across a lake to the other side. And every time it does so, every time it touches the other universe, it destroys it entirely. So every time this thing moves, and it cannot not move, it's part of its nature, it has to keep moving. So every time it moves, though, it's destroying one of the infinite universes with every footstep.
Wow, that's terrifying.
Neat and really cool antagonist for me. And it does this wonderful job of explaining what Wally West is really capable of. Like, it makes him probably the most powerful member of the Justice League for a few minutes. Does a wonderful job of roping in Iris, and it just kind of gives her like a place on the kind of a place among the heroes for a second there. Like her DNA is extremely particular and extremely potent. Like, so in another one of these infinite universes, she is at this point an unkillable creature that lives in the Speed Force. That the way they did that was they just threw into the sun over and over again. And this version of her survived, and so many others didn't. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of really
Doomsday-esque.
Yeah, and a lot of really cool kind of sci-fi concepts going on with the Speed Force. And I love the Speed Force because it's like this cute extra dimension of physics that you can just make up the rules as you need it. And when you do it well, it's not like you're making up the rules as the story dictates. It's like you're playing with science and just kind of using it as a playground. It's a lot of fun for me when people do that. But, really good story. Really great glimpse of Wally and where he exists, like, among the team.
Yeah.
Like, wonderful scene of him.
Cool.
Wonderful scene of, like, him playing, like, they call it Still the Bacon with Superman, where it's like, you're on opposite sides of a room, and there's a ball in the middle, and you have to get the ball and get it back to your side of the room. But, imagine Superman and Flash playing that game. It's probably over in less than a quarter of a second, but that was a whole set of moves, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, some great scenes of just kind of silly stuff like that.
Cool.
Definitely want to see at least an animated universe.
Reminds me of something from the comics where I can't remember what was going on, but Superman's trying to talk sense into Barry, and he's flying next to Barry, and he's like, "Well, if you want to stop me, you'll have to catch me." He's like, "Well, I've beaten you before," and he's like, "Oh, come on, Clark," and he just like takes off and leaves him in the dust.
Yeah. Nice. Oh no, he says like, "I've beaten you before. We've raced for charity," and he like starts running backwards. I think at that point, and then just takes off way faster than Superman can fly and says, "Clark, that was for charity."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Ghosts him.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool story.
It should be.
I mean, you can't. at a certain point, you just have to go like, why do we need anyone but Superman? No, there have to be reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's wonderful too. Like, a lot of Wonder Woman's weapons are magically based. She can kind of face him when she has to. Like, Green Lantern is still, it's the greatest weapon in the universe. He's still got that going on. Like, Barry Allen can beat him on speed. Batman just outthinks him in general. It's nice for him to be in company that he's kind of. I like to think of him as the moral leader, but like, they can take him.
Yeah,
hell, Martian alone is what
his morality, I guess.
That is, to me, that is his morality, because he is. Yeah. I mean, all these people can take aspects of him, and I think the team could take Superman down, but by themselves, it's kind of like
be able to.
Should, but by himself, it's like in a one-on-one battle, it's like you've got one angle, I've got five. What do you want to do? And,
it is still Superman. Batman alone.
Yeah,
Batman alone has doesn't even really technically have to take down Superman. I think Batman's just got he's got booby traps set up just in case. Just at any given moment, there's probably a satellite that's hovering above wherever Bruce is, and then he goes, "Oh, there's Superman coming to do some harm." Hulkbuster that shit,
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You could see Superman pinning him by his neck against a wall, and Batman being like, "Okay, you can do it, but you should know I have Brother Eye outside the satellite with a giant ass laser."
Why does Batman sound like Rick?
Because his neck's been compressed.
Oh man, that's funny. Pickle Batman.
It's pretty much what we watched in that episode. That is pretty much what that was.
Do you watch the Rick and Morty, Eli?
I still haven't gotten started. My little brother just put it on my Netflix account at some point, so even if I started now, we'd be messing up each other's "where were you" kind of thing, so I'll get to it eventually.
It will be one of the greatest discovery periods of your life.
Fantastic show.
Can't wait. So I've heard from a lot of people, so I was like, oh, thanks for starting without me. I would have liked to watch along with you. Yay.
Just do whatever you got to do. Cancel whatever appointments you have to do. Just catch up with him and go.
Yeah. That's a solid piece of advice.
Yeah.
Did you have more on universe ending Speedster?
Oh, me? No, I just think it'd make a great animated movie. Cool story, wraps itself up really well, right in the canon, a lot of fun to animate. Yeah. I think it'd be a fantastic DCAU or UA, whatever one we're calling it. All
right, well, I guess that's me now.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Justice League The Nail, and subsequently Another Nail, but it's by Alan Davis and Mark Farmer. As per Wikipedia, it is set in a parallel universe where Jonathan and Martha Kent's truck experiences a flat tire caused by a nail, which prevents them from discovering Clark. So Superman never happens.
Oh.
And we pretty much just get to see what happens with everyone. It's pretty wild, man. It's crazy. The first couple pages, you see, the Joker's got alien gauntlets that give him telekinesis. He forces Batman to watch him kill. He forces Batman to watch him crush Batgirl and Robin right in front of him. Just crush him. It is rough and amazing.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Very dark story. Very good, interesting tale. Yeah, I totally want them to do something with that at some point. If not a live action movie, then an animated feature. I feel like it's one of those great things where you really get to see how important Superman is.
And I think that gets back to that whole in general moral those leader thing.
Okay, you were both talking at the same time. What?
Whoops. I in general just like those stories where if you change one thing, you get that butterfly effect of everything being messed up. It's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, what'd you have?
I just like the idea of Superman's real power for me. Short of everything else, is him being a moral compass. So I like the idea of him not being there and seeing kind of how these people go about making their decisions without him there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the whole thing is sort of like the story's like theme is well, they use this old poem to set up the story. For want of a nail the shoe was lost, for want of a shoe the horse was lost, for want of a horse the knight was lost, for want of a knight the battle was lost, so it was a kingdom was lost, all for the want of a nail.
Great setup.
I don't know. Yeah, great setup. Really fun, cool story. I just really enjoyed it, and I won't spoil the ending for the first one, but that's definitely one that both of you need to get your asses onto Amazon for.
I know. It's on my wish list. It's just sitting there waiting for me to have money enough to buy it.
It's good. All right, let's go on. Move on to the next.
I believe that's my number one, right? It's sort of been mentioned before, but I'd love to see the Crime Syndicate in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So, my most recent exposure to it has been the whole Forever Evil thing and how that plays out into the next arc, I believe. So I'm really intrigued by just those characters and the whole opposite world, and there has to be something great to be done with that. Even a Crisis on Two Earths animated movie was still a lot of fun. Just Owlman and Ultraman. It's all wonderful. I really enjoy those characters and just the concept, and it's one of the most obvious and yet very fulfilling, very, very satisfying uses of a multiverse. Like, what should we do? Well, here all the heroes are evil. It seems very simple, but it's still very creative, and I really enjoy it.
They also did like Brave and the Bold messed with that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I need to get on that.
Oh man, you do.
Like I haven't even gotten through the animated series, so before I get to Brave and the Bold, it's gonna be a little while.
It is. I admit, like you could watch them in tandem. It wouldn't matter. It's not like they're gonna connect a lot, but strangely, there is like one scene where it will all connect. But the
there are a couple.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, like it is a nice, like, if you can make it through kind of the pacing and the seriousness of BTAS and the series that followed, to get all the way through like Unlimited and Mask of the Phantasm and Return of the Joker and all that, then shoot over. And
I have seen the movies.
Yeah.
Really enough,
they're gonna make sense in kind of a different context if you watch them, knowing what the series does. But then you go over to Brave and the Bold, and it's this wonderful, like, I don't know, man. It's like getting a second wind in a lot of ways, because it's the original WB stuff, the original Dini and Tim stuff is it's such a whole world. Like it takes a minute to take it in and to really deal with it, and then you get over Brave and the Bold, and it's an entirely new world, and it takes as much time to invest in, but it reeks of fun, man. The show has so much fun being itself. It's kind of hard to describe.
Nice. I'll get to it, I'm sure, as with a lot of things.
Yeah. We all live that struggle.
Only so much time.
Took me 2 years to do Smallville. 4 if you include all the time Dave's been pestering me.
That's right.
Maybe 6. It's been a while.
I've been pestering you since I lived alone in that apartment, so it's probably been like 6 or 7.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably been 6-7 years at this point of like the moment you realized I hadn't seen
that bad then.
Plus whatever time.
I'm on like episode 4.
Yeah.
But I've started on it at some point.
Yeah, I could deal with a Crime Syndicate movie. Just a Crime Syndicate movie. Actually, that would be a really fun idea for a TV show.
Ooh, yeah, that too. Make it happen, people out there. Damn it.
Well, it would be. I mean, in E3, the only hero is Luthor. I mean,
wasn't the jokester? Wasn't he a good guy too?
Oh yeah, they added some more.
I think so. Yeah.
They added some more, but like originally it was like Earth's greatest hero was Luthor. That's what I should have said. And it would be a lot of fun to kind of, find a Rosenbaum-y kind of character to do that again.
Yeah.
And Rosenbaum did a great job of Smallville. Obviously, he did a great job of being menacing and also kind of charming. I mean, he was just a really well-rounded character by the time they finished with him.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot of fun to watch him, be Lex Luthor, but somehow be Earth's greatest hero. And I mean, yeah, I could dig a show like that.
Yeah, I'd be really into that. All right, Jason, what you got? What's your final one, or do you have more than one?
Let's try one more. That again, I'm gonna go back to my Netflix series idea instead of movie. No Man's Land as an actual Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
That makes sense.
So much going on there. You wouldn't want to shortchange it for a few episodes, or even like Sherlock does, like an hour and 20 per episode, and it's like 3 or 4 episodes. Even that would be maybe shortchanging something like No Man's Land. But I mean, there are whole arcs in that. I mean, you have like a ton of time with Harvey. You have a ton of time with Penguin. You have like a whole. I mean, God, it's almost the entire Rogues Gallery that you've got whole sections of story with to play with. I mean, that could be like pick 2 or 3 of those. That's where we're going, and then where it culminates, especially as a dark Netflix series, where it culminates with that murder and with that arrest. Oh fuck, man. It probably just incredible. And imagine an entire first episode. Imagine like an entire first episode where it's the destruction of Gotham and so on.
Yeah, that would be a really cool thing to watch.
And a bunch of stuff in the background about how Batman's been gone for how long now and stuff like that.
I dig it.
What do you got?
Yeah, would be dope.
Dave, I think you're here to wrap it up on that one.
Yeah.
So basically, I want, going back to the retro sci-fi period piece, I want a Superman movie based in the Fleischer style. I want to, nice. Let's actually, instead of just having a random unnamed scientist, let's do Lex Luthor, but keep the little black bird that jumps around and squawks and stuff when he pulls levers and whatnot, and we can have him reference some of the serials, maybe not the racist ones, but
you may need to
perhaps not
think better of some of those episodes. Sure.
I seem to remember there was a Japanese guy in a plane who wasn't portrayed very eloquently.
That was around the time where a lot of writers used the phrase Orientals. And
actually, I think the name of that episode was Japo Tours.
That sounds right.
And
wow,
that's just not going to work. But really, really big, like old-timey robots being, fighting Superman. Superman fights a freaking kaiju in one of them. Just a big-ass lizard creature, all nice. Of there's like the dudes who dress up like they've got bullet helmets on, and they get inside of a giant bullet and fire themselves at the city. I want to see all that shit. I want to see. That's just so stupid, but I want to see it. Again, very, very old style movie serial type of sci-fi aesthetic that I'm looking for in there, and I don't mind if Lex Luthor is behind most of those things going on, like in his endless quest to take down Superman, but there's no way it would have to end with them say Perry White being like, Lois, you got the story, and she's like, yeah, but the day was saved thanks to Superman, and then we see Clark take off the glasses and look at the camera and wink. That would just make my life. That would just be the thing. That's all I want.
Yeah, this might be the least realistic one we've discussed, but sure.
It would be fun to see the DCAU people take on the Fleischer universe, though. Just the animation alone would be a lot of fun.
That would be neat. Yeah.
I want a live action. That's what I want. I even want I want the grease on the film. I want the grease on the lens. the glamour shots.
Realistic than the Kingdom Come, but
well, the good thing about it is it wouldn't cost like any money to make.
That's fair.
They wouldn't even have to release it in theaters, just release it on DC All Access or whatever the hell it is, their little streaming service.
Whatever you're about to charge us for.
Yeah. Just send it home to you, ultra low budget, and just one disc for you.
Yeah. All right. So I have honorable mentions. Does anyone else have honorable mentions?
I sort of skipped over them, so I'm sure you have most of them.
Probably. What did you say, Jason?
Nah, I didn't get to those.
All right.
I've got what I got.
Well, here are the honorable mentions that I we didn't want to get too in-depth on, but Ambush Bug. Absolutely want to see Ambush Bug versus his arch nemesis Argyle, the sentient sock.
Now, we've got a pretty good pitch for that somewhere on record.
We do. Batgirl Year One, Identity Crisis. Identity Crisis was on the real list forever. Like it's so good. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see a trilogy of Nightfall, Night's Quest, and Night's End. Of course, where Batman gets his back broken. Justice League International, as I mentioned. Everything Dennis O'Neil, Chuck Dixon, and Scott McDaniel did for Nightwing, I want in movies.
Everything
they did,
just all of it.
Lobo, I want a Lobo movie somewhere.
There's a nice
Birds of Prey.
There's a nice kind of like Last Sons thing on the graphic audio, and it's other things, but it's like Superman, Manhunter, and Lobo going on a mission together.
Ooh. So Birds of Prey, I don't care which iteration. Shadow Pact, although I'd probably rather that be a television show of some sort. I love Blue Devil and Detective Chimp and Ragman. Holy shit, how do we not have this already? Batman Year One is an obvious one. Superman for All Seasons, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Wonderful graphic novel if you haven't read it. And I think it would solve a lot of the issues with people's problems with the current Superman, because it really does harken back to the classic Superman. Mm-hmm. I had Black Mirror listed. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore. I'd love to see that. The Idiot Route by Peter Milligan. I mentioned that earlier, kind of, but
actually, as far as honorable mentions, if I can add to yours, there's a Whatever Happened to Cape Crusader that should be like part one, part two of a film.
Yeah. Genesis by John Byrne and Ron Wagner. Really cool story about an alien invasion that also includes shit about the New Gods, and we get deep into the New Gods mythology. The old gods being a part of the Source Wall. It's a big, epic, spanning tale. It's really cool. Tower of Babel by Mark Waid and Howard Porter. That was on the list for a long time. All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly was on there. I would like to see a movie, I think a good idea for a solo Batman film to just set up the universe. Almost Got Him. They could just adapt that from the animated series and have like the rogues sitting around talking about how they almost got Batman with vignettes, I had Death in the Family, Batman Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, again Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And basically anything Mark Waid did in the 90s. Like just anything. All right, so you guys have any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, they all sound good. But
good. Most of what I remember, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Endgame stands out as like a nice follow-up, especially to
Death of the Family. Yeah.
Death of the Family. Yeah. Really, just like Scott Snyder should just have his own set of 3 movies.
Yeah, I say screw the universe. Turns out Scott Snyder did an entire universe all by himself, and that's just one of the worlds in the multiverse.
Like Scott Snyder has gotten so good at adding spokes to the wheel that I think if you just asked him right now to come in and take over the DCEU and include all his stuff, he could probably get it done.
Probably. That'd be okay.
Why not?
Just got a real talent for slipping something in and going like, oh yeah.
All right, so we'll run through some of the stuff that listeners suggested. Over on Instagram, JB87_23 says he wants to see The Flash. So that's broad, but honest, I guess.
Fair enough. I'm guessing he'll get that.
I mean,
eventually.
It's slotted, so you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Exactly. That helps.
Yeah. Over on Twitter, this is just the Twitter section here. AJ Sims, legendary Newfie, says, this is cheating because it's already the live action, but I would like the story of Smallville Season 1 condensed into a really great movie. I responded, Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and Lineal Francis Yu, and said, to be fair, Smallville the complete series condensed. He says, yes, I'd love it. I would want it to be its own thing, though. I wouldn't want this to connect to the DCEU. Superman Birthright's pretty good, too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bob Murphy.
So I've heard.
I also, just for reasons of consolidation, would like Smallville Season 1 to only have been 2 hours.
It could have been if we cut out all the will they, won't they relationship bull crap. Yeah. Or the Freaks of the Week and just make it about Lex.
Right.
Bob Murphy at SportsNutBob81. Blackest Night. Good special effects and it will be a visual masterpiece. Josh McKay at Red Arrow X3 says, if they did the story they did for Arkham Asylum video game, that would be amazing. Imagine tight, close story with many villains. Scott, hashtag Team Batman, Scott Squadcast, at Scott DC27, said Identity Crisis, enough said. Well, I mean, man, It would be really hard to do that story and have it not be an R rating, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. I am of the age that I do not care anymore about R ratings, so
I care in as
much
as...
Maybe the studio does, but...
If they did test screenings of Suicide Squad and they were like, the audiences don't like the domestic abuse aspects of Joker and Harley's relationship, they're not going to dig on, Dr. Light and all of his shenanigans and Identity Crisis. That's just not... Anyway.
If they had the guts to not, back out of it and keep that sort of thing intact, then I'd be a lot more comfortable giving them the opportunity to make that. But it probably wouldn't happen any way we'd like to see it. So
So Eli Hernandez also wanted Identity Crisis. Neil Isn't Witty on Twitter also wanted Identity Crisis. Neil Isn't Witty, though, also said Green Lantern and Green Arrow Hard Traveling Heroes. It's a personal story about self-discovery, healing, and forging an iconic friendship. That would be pretty good. Rocky LaRusso at Rocky LaRusso says, Kingdom Come, epic themes and action which might be well suited to the big screen. Andrew Getzy says, War Drums and War Games. I'd love to tell the story of a female Robin, but I'd have to write it. And I guess I could have a cameo from Joss Whedon's Batgirl. I love that. I guess I could have Joss Whedon's Batgirl.
We'll back into it.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Ben Sayer at Ben_Sayer_2105 says, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Cool, look amazing if tied in with the Arrowverse ending with Barry hitting himself, the lightning, tying back to episode 1 of the CW show. They could replay the scene from season 1, episode 1, then fade to black. I'd be down for that. That'd be really cool. Nerdy-tastic says, World's Finest from Superman the Animated Series. I think it has the right balance of action and tension between Batman and Superman without delving into bombast. I like a little bombast, but you know what? That World's Finest was pretty damn great.
It was pretty great.
The DC Comics Squadcast, DC Squadcast says, Kingdom Come, I'd love to see the older versions of these characters face the end of the world, plus Skeleton Dead Man, plus the Scrooge effect.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. Attend.
Greg at the Bat Daddy 52 says, this may sound weird, but with the right casting and director and a remake of Batman Forever would be pretty cool. And I think a Batman Eternal story would be great too. Dude, I just think you like the idea of Batman being infinite. Batman Forever, Batman Eternal.
Bad God?
Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one seeing this.
It is a nice idea that he is eternal and infinite and forever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's comforting. It's a nice thought. I get that urge.
Yeah, I almost choked up because of the ending of Batman: The Brave and the Bold.
I was about to say you're gonna laugh and cry when you. I was literally thinking about that. Yeah. First thing came to mind for me as well.
Oh man, yeah. Tim Rooney at Timothy Rooney 2 says Batman Venom. Bruce's journey in that story is incredible. I believe that's the one where he gets addicted to venom and then has to like get over it. That is rough. Yeah. Randy at Randy SF45 says Batman Night Cries, Catwoman Year One, Mad Love, Cataclysm / No Man's Land, and Sergeant Rock. So I mean,
list.
I'm not interested in the Catwoman for some reason. I just don't want to see her be a prostitute again.
Again?
Well, she was a prostitute in Batman Year One.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but like in mainstream live action movies, we haven't seen that, or
no, I guess
forgetting
not.
some aspect. Yeah, I know. Like most people out there on the street, when you ask them, "Hey, who's Catwoman?" the first thing they say probably wouldn't be, "Yeah, the prostitute turned hero / villain /." I'm guessing that's not at the top of their list.
That's probably accurate. Yeah.
It's probably
the thief and the blah blah blah. Not. And bear in mind, she turns up. It's Year One and Dark Knight Returns. She shows up, and these are two of the most iconic books in which she's referenced as being a prostitute.
Yeah, she like runs a brothel.
Yeah,
that's just
and she's
Frank
clearly
Miller's
kind of
man.
the retired madam. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's Sin City. Like everyone is a prostitute. If you're female, you're a prostitute. That's how it works. That's Frank Miller. Yeah,
that's Frank Miller.
That's fair.
And if you're not a prostitute, if you happen to run a bar, you're gonna have sex with Batman on a pier.
You know it.
Yeah.
And you're dressed like a prostitute.
But who isn't?
Well, to be fair, though, Black Canary was always dressed like a prostitute in the comics, for the most part.
Yeah, that's why we love her.
I mean, yeah.
That's not why I love her.
That outfit is fishnet. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, you can't do it without him.
Yeah,
like,
and I feel weird when I'm seeing a version that doesn't have fishnet or at least see-through stockings on the bottom. It doesn't look right in a way.
It looks like just another black leather costume, generic superheroine.
Honestly, at this point,
it's not necessarily Canary.
Yeah, it's just another actress on the CW that happens to have that black jacket, who is wearing whatever.
They did do a weird thing in like the late '90s where like it was real super weird to me. Like they had her in like a long sleeve jacket type of situation, like a long sleeve. It wasn't a jacket; it was more like a tunic. But and then they just had her in like a thong, and I was like,
wow.
like why? Why is this? This isn't okay. This is strange.
Crotch protection. That's all that's good for. Oh Lord.
All right. Yeah. So over on Facebook, gosh, I can't read that name. All right. Sammy Montiel says Crisis on Infinite Earths and Red Hood. Charles Johnson says Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. That is a solid call.
That's solid.
But that feels like an HBO series or a Starz series or something.
HBO, Netflix, Starz, anywhere that's willing to do a rated R, like, let's give it 8 hours at least.
Mm-hmm. Alonzo Bynum II says Green Lantern because he's part of the Justice League and Green Lantern Corps. Joseph White says Blackest Night. Nate Lucas, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Julio Cruz Ocampo says Crisis on Infinite Earths. J. Scott St. Clair says Crisis on Infinite Earths.
oh, people have heard of that one.
He also says fingers crossed for a live action Rick and Morty cameo in Crisis.
Why the hell not?
Sure.
James Hewing says Red Sun for me or Justice League War, although I feel like War is what we'll be getting in November in a way. I really want to see the moment where Bats takes Green Lantern's ring without him noticing.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that.
That's always fun.
I wish that was in there, yeah.
This one was pretty interesting. Kind of an inspired choice. Elijah Hamilton says Green Lantern Mosaic. It's Jon Stewart's only solo title, but it's a good story that shows how complex Jon is as both a master builder and a destroyer. Also, it'll bring attention to his opener of Doors birth prophecy that's been forgotten.
All right.
Nice.
I would.
Original picks are.
Yeah. Let's see. You mentioned Ahmed Pryor and his death in the family. Jason Smith says Sergeant Rock: The Lost Battalion is a great mix of actual historical event and fictional characters. It's an amazing story too about the 442nd Battalion made Japanese Americans in their sacrifice to save a lost American battalion in France. Not enough recognition given to these American heroes. Legion of Superheroes, the Great Darkness Saga. Legion of Superheroes is such an underused property. As superheroes, as sci-fi, and as the future, what a great sandbox to play in. Anyways, this is probably one of their best stories with a great twist/reveal. I agree. I love some Legends of Superheroes, but you know what? I don't think sci-fi has much of a place in American cinema. Like, yes, we have science fiction, but with like comic book movies and superheroes and stuff. But when it's actual sci-fi and they go into the future, and we have like alien worlds and shit, people don't really tune out. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy might be the one exception to that I've seen, where it just like does gangbusters. Yeah. Most of the time these things are kind of ignored. So.
Well, people have properties they latch onto. Yeah. I mean, Star Trek and Star Wars are international brands. It's just
but Star Trek doesn't. But Star Trek doesn't make that much money, dude.
It has
Star
over
Wars
time.
is fantasy. It has over time, and it does in merchandising because of the fans. But in terms of
Star Wars being fantasy,
who rolls out to go see a movie?
No. They still make their money in the theaters, though. Well, I'm sorry, Star Wars does. Star Trek, we'll see. It's apparently going to try to kick off a whole network.
Sorry. Yeah, Star Wars makes its money in merchandising as well, but I mean, Star Trek is much less known, recognized, and accepted. It's just not nearly as accepted.
I know. I just think
the level, no.
They both have a huge market share of just humanity, but still, you've got to. I don't know. When it's palatable, when it's like, give me the same thing, only different. A lot of people are willing to go on that ride.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much. I think sci-fi has got a greater chance than we give it credit for in the box office. It's just that a lot of people get. If there's too much exposition, for instance, people get off the train too early.
It's just, if you're going to do sci-fi, you're going to have to make it look really super funny and fun.
Yeah, it has to be relatable very early, and then you can do some exposition, a third of the way through at least. But
you know what I was thinking, though, is Legion of Superheroes, I think Robert Rodriguez would be a really good director for that. He could do darker stuff, whatever that was. That
don't know. What you got?
Desperado. Well, yeah, he did the Desperado movies, and he kind of did some of the Grindhouse stuff with Tarantino. But then again, he also did like the Spy Kids stuff for his kids. And the Spy Kids stuff very much feels like Legion of Superheroes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Mia Hooker says death of the family. And last but not least, Deej Penhollow of the Nerd Talkalypse podcast says, it's not a new suggestion, but I just watched Assault on Arkham and decided that that's what Suicide Squad should have been. Now on to my answer. I think I'll go with Crisis on Two Earths because there are so many fun moments in that movie. And I think Crime Syndicate would be dope AF. I think that stands for Apple Farm. If I'm
yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm not a native speaker, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, so he thinks Crime Syndicate would be dope Apple Farm.
Right.
And
it would be one hell of a dope apple farm. Yeah.
The place we all think of when we think of, images of happiness and whatever. We think of Apple Farm. And we do it with such regularity that we've just abbreviated it to AF.
Yeah.
Basically. And the Crime Syndicate is also very calming and in that same sort of vein.
Calming AF.
But I don't think Crime Syndicate would be a dope apple farm. Sounds like a lot of bad seeds.
Depends on whether you ask them.
A lot of bad seeds, Jason.
Talk to them, whole different conversation.
Do you get it?
Seeds. All right, we're done here.
This may be the longest episode we've ever done.
It might be.
I'm glad to be on it. I feel honored now.
All right. Gosh, if you've listened on to the, if you're still here, listening to these words,
God help you.
Good on you.
Thanks. I don't know who you are or why you exist, but thanks.
Unless you skipped ahead and cheated, like
right.
That's the exception. In that case, go back
because there's a monster
Listen
at the end
to
of this book.
Ooh.
What the hell's happening? All right. So, Eli, thank you very much for being a part of the show.
It was my pleasure.
Once again, go check out Eli's podcast, Stealing the Remote. It is phenomenal.
Yes, please do. We are also on Twitter at Remote Stealing, and anywhere else you can find us by that name.
Yeah, and we have a link to Stealing the Remote as well in our Friends segment. We have a Friends page, and we have a little Friends side tab on dconscreen.com, which is where you can find us, as well as on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook under DC on Screen. So, and you can also call us and leave us a voicemail, 205-259-6331, and we'll get to that on our news episodes.
Wait, you're telling me I could have just sent in a voicemail and skipped the whole crossover thing?
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
That's
good to know. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, we say it every week. I thought you were a listener.
Eli.
Yeah. No. I just now. Oh well.
Instead, we've tricked you into participating in 3 hours of our lives.
Well,
and staying up late by your
there
standards.
are worse things. Yeah, I usually would have fallen asleep by now, I'm pretty sure. And it's not even that late, I just go to bed early.
Yeah. Well.
But it's worth it.
We're going to get out of here.
He says, 1 foot into a dream.
We should.
Oh, thank you guys for listening. Again, thank you, Eli, for being a part of this episode. And your show's amazing. Everyone should go check it out. We'll be back next week with some kind of a news. I don't know. Until then, keep some DC on your screen.